Everybody take a seat.
Good, I got it at 150.
No. You can offer your comment, I wouldn't get involved in any kind of vote.
Okay. I'm gonna call this meeting of the Gilchrist County Board of County Commissioners to order. It's February the 3rd, 2025. Appreciate everybody coming here. Hope that you'll make plans to come back anytime you feel like a need or a want. We'll, enter into our meeting. I've asked, Todd to lead us in our prayer today, and I've asked, Duke to lead the pledge to the flag. If you'll silence your phone, turn it down, whatever you need to do, we'll turn to Todd.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord God, we just thank you for this opportunity to serve the people of Gilchrist County. Lord, I just pray that as we conduct this meeting, that our thoughts and actions will be pleasing to you. Lord, just guide, guard, and keep us in your will. Lord, I just pray that as we know of those that have lost loved ones recently, we just pray that you comfort their families and their friends as only you can. Lord, continue to be with our first responders as they continue to watch over us. We just thank you and praise you for everything that you do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Address the flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, again, let me say I appreciate everybody coming out today. We look forward to everybody speaking their part. Is there any agenda changes?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I have one, remove item number 7C, the proclamation.
I have one, Mr. Chairman. On my attorney's report, we need to discuss the fines for coding violations as brought to my attention by the clerk's office.
Okay, Mr. Clerk?
None today, sir.
Okay. Any board member have any?
Motion to approve the agenda with noted changes.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Thomas and a second from Commissioner Martin to approve the agenda with the noted changes. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Everyone have a chance to look at the consent agenda.
Yeah, motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Smith and a second by Commissioner Sharon Linkard to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to, the disposition of the 2017 Live Oak mobile home. We did sell that. We had a $15,000 reserve. We received 2 bids, and the high bid was $15,500, and they have to pay the cost of moving it. So just so you know.
Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Okay, we have 2 opportunities for public participation. One of them is now and one of them is at the end of the meeting. If you would like to participate in public participation and you're not signed up to speak or anything today, you're more than welcome to come to the mic and speak your name and tell us what your issue is. Any public participation? Okay. You want to come up, sir?
I think you need to let them know if they're going to be talking on something.
If you're going to be on something that's on the agenda now,
That'd be later.
It'd be later on. Okay.
Oh, well, he might need to come then.
You don't know what's on the agenda?
What's he here for?
You want to come up then?
You want to tell us what's on your agenda? Then we can tell you.
Wilton Curry. I live at Wilcox, down at Fanning. And, which I've been here before, y'all, and appreciate the opportunity. Okay? But we have a situation down there. I have some land that I would like to put something on. I can't because there's a junkyard on it or buy it. And it's not just there by my land. It's throughout the area. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, you probably do. The police, you know, they they come, I mean, you know, and go. But I'm here to ask, beg, everyone plead with the county to, make an initiative or something to clean that place up. Cause I have a sister, I built my dad a house. We moved here in '64. See, I left and I come back and bought a little place, which isn't the same place I left, okay? But that's beyond. But, my sister is very sick, has cancer and everything else. And they're burning stuff, but the odor is so foul. It's sickness. That, and I think they have Texas things running off everywhere, and this and that and the other. And, that's my agenda, is that I know what kind of place that was and what kind of people that live in Citrus County. You know, not Citrus, I'm sorry.
Gilchrist.
Yeah. Gilchrist. That everybody looks out after everybody. And, you know, I don't want to be a vigilante that takes something in his own hand, which I feel like I'm very capable of doing that, but it's not my place. And that's why I'm here asking or begging or everyone pleading with y'all, would y'all please look into this code enforcement and help issue that's going on down there and all the drugs and everything else. And please, for God's sake, do something for me.
Is that in the city of Fanning, or is that?
No, no.
Mr. Crosby, can you then get his information and call him and see what we can do to
I
help?
have his information.
We're-
We've helped him with some
I
other
try to
issues
not
down
be a thorn in his side of
Well,
that.
That's what,
Well,
you're okay, that's what I'm supposed to
we
do.
do have
You
a
come
quorum.
anytime you want.
Yeah, we have a code enforcement man who can come out there and look and take care of the situation, if need be, and that's, we wanna know where it's at, so we make sure.
My address is
Care of.
8110 Southwest 88th Lane. That's where I live right this minute, but my
Where's,
other place is
But
right after.
Mr. Crosby, if he has your number, then maybe he can call you
Yeah.
this week
I-
and,
but you said, does your sister live at that same address, Mr. Curry?
My sister lives in front of my other property where we built my dad's house.
Does Mr. Crosby have her address?
Well, probably not, but.
Well, wait. Let me just answer. I know the piece of property he's talking about.
Okay.
So, okay, we have dealt with code violations there before, so we're familiar with it. So we are familiar with this piece of property. So I know where he's talking about.
And I'm not, you know, I'm not here better than anyone, okay? I don't put myself above anyone. But every other house is parked and this and that, the other, I mean, you know, and if they need help, then, hey, I'm willing to try to help. But don't just do it, they're not to fall down the places that you just see neglected.
Okay.
Thank you for your time, though.
Thank you for
Thank
coming
you.
up, we
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Any more public participation? Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, Rosemary McDaniel, Rocket Lake. I'm still being interrupted with my sleep, with gunfire noise at all hours, and I just want of night, early morning. I just wondered if you were planning to have another workshop on the noise ordinance anytime soon? Anybody? I mean, this has been in the works for quite a while, I guess.
I think the last time that we had one, if I remember correctly, I mean, I still have my folder and all, but what we kind of came up with is there's no perfect noise ordinance. And we've had ours for a long time and it's worked pretty well. So at that point, I think we had kind of just laid it to the side. And then we can schedule another workshop if you'd like to, but currently, no, there are no additional noise
Are there,
ordinance.
Mr. Lang, are there any restrictions on the time of day or night guns can be fired?
Under our current ordinance?
Well, the state pretty much sets those, as the state got anything that sets hours on gunfire.
The hunting laws do. The hunters can only shoot or hunt, between 1 hour before sunrise and a half hour after sunset. So that would cover the area when people could do whatever they wanted to do. I'm not talking about daytime, I'm talking about late night. So you could write it into the noise ordinance
That-
that gunfire would only be permitted.
What about the farmers that need to, kill coyotes in the middle of the night that's after their,
Nothing. I'm talking about sustained fire. This goes on for a half an hour, an hour. It might start at 1 in the morning. It goes until 1:30, and then they start up again at 2, goes to 3. So it's not like, I'm not worried about hunters, and I'm not worrying about farmers shooting coyotes or people shooting raccoons. But usually you hear the dogs if that's happening. But it's this late night, it's coming from one area. I don't know why they're doing what they're doing, but it's interrupting my sleep. And this has been going on for a couple of years, and there's no reason for it. When you were looking at, the special use permit for the range off of Southeast 70th, you were taking into consideration the noise from the gunfire that might be coming from the range, but that's during the day, and that's not a problem. People can shoot all they want as long as they don't shoot in the direction of my house. But it's the sleep interruption that's the bad thing.
Mr. Lang,
I think the difference, Ms. McDaniel, is that those people were required to get a special use permit to have a commercial business on the
That's okay.
range.
That's okay.
And we
Not a
weren't
problem.
trying to regulate,
That's not a
the
problem.
firearms. And as you and I have discussed before, right here from that rostrum, this board cannot regulate firearms. We were preempted by the state of Florida. It says you shall not,
So-
you
so
shall not regulate the use of firearms.
You're not. You're,
Well, you are if you're trying to say when they can be
It's
fired.
a noise issue. I'm not trying to regulate people's firearms. I've been a shooter for years and years and years.
Yes, ma'am.
Not
I
a-
understand your concern, and with all
not a
due
problem.
respect, though, we've
It-
talked about this.
If wildlife can do it, how come wildlife can say you can only hunt between such and such hours? Then why can't we?
Because I think there's an underlying law as to when they can actually hunt.
Well,
You're talking,
then there
you're
could
talking
be-
about regulating firearms because of a noise issue, which the state of Florida legislature has says that that's within their purview. They're the regulatory authority.
I'm just beating my head against the wall, I guess, because
No, I'm just trying to be perfectly honest with you as far as the regulatory authority that the board has.
traumatic stress disorder.
Ma'am?
I've had traumatic stress disorder from all of the shooting in the past. It's getting back again. Not nice. And I may just have to hire an attorney and say you have to stop this.
If that's your prerogative. Have you talked to your neighbors about the shooting? Do you know who that is what I'm saying? Have you spoken to them and cordially tried to ask them?
You can't get in there. There are cameras.
Oh, it's a compound and they go out there and shoot at night? Is that what you're saying?
2 people live there. The owner comes from Jacksonville, and that's usually when most of the shooting goes on. He comes
Yes,
down on a Friday night, he leaves on a Sunday night, and that's when it occurs. It's only, it's one person or one group. I don't know what they're doing there. They got, who knows what they're doing, but it's an odd situation.
How large of a tract of land is that?
180 acres.
I'm sorry.
480
Oh, it's 480 acres. Adjoining you?
Hmm?
Next to you? Adjoining you? 480?
Right across the road.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. I understand. I'm
But
just,
you get different, I
I'm
mean,
afraid the board doesn't have the authority under the state statute that
What?
preempted their authority.
one day they were out there shooting something that was exploding, and I called the sheriff's office.
Yes,
Three
ma'am.
times, one of them shook my house. And I've got a really solid built house. It shook the house. So I wish somebody would find out what they're doing. You know, they could be teaching terrorists how to do stuff. So anyway, it's annoying.
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody else? Okay.
Ralph Bluff. The first time I've been here in a while, and I got something to say. Actually, a question. Do you have any idea when they're gonna pave Gay Road?
They're working on it now.
Mr. Crosby
They're
can
working on
address that right now for you.
What's
Yep.
that?
Mr. Crosby will address that right now for you.
Yeah, I wrote it the other day and they're putting in the culvert.
No, I've been up and down there 3 or 4 times visiting friends, and they all work, and I told them I would ask them when I come to the meeting, so.
So they're
Will you address that for him?
Yes, they're actually out doing culvert work now. It's sporadic, but they're working on the culverts. So once they get the, dirt work and the culvert done, then we'll start the paving.
And Ray, a lot of the delay, we had to remove all the gopher tortoises, all that kind of stuff.
They done?
Absolutely, and they were removed, and it was very expensive to do that, but you had to do that.
Yeah.
Also, there was a tree in the road right away that had to be, taken care of, and it's good to go now.
Yep.
Pretty short.
I'll pass it on. Thank you.
Yeah, I rode down it Friday. They're doing the culvert work and the, utility locations and all that now. Okay, anybody else? Mr. Tucker?
I saw on your agenda here, you got a couple proposed workshops coming up for more taxes on different things and items and such as that. I really disagree with that. We had fairly, robust discussions last year about spending habits of the county and spending out of, want instead of need. And, I think there's something pretty dramatic out there. I just hope, and if y'all would consider, think about it, putting a freeze on any capital purchases and new employee hires through the rest of this budget year. So already have adopted your budget, put it in effect. It's either gonna be budget amendments, things today and probably throughout the year. And all of this stuff that y'all purchased last year, for different departments, I'm not gonna single one out. What type of use is it done? How much have you used this stuff? And I'm talking about, multiple purchases, and I don't really see where it's really been much done with it with the county, throughout the county. I mean, I know they trimmed some limbs with the trimming truck and all that, but a lot of that stuff, I don't see that it's ever even been utilized. And have y'all considered job descriptions, activity logs, and vehicle logs for employees? I know when, with the soil and water, we had to do all the vehicle, the activity logs to justify, what you're spending your time on, what's the results of this kind of stuff. Just some accountability, for our tax dollars, because the millage rate, you'll cap it here. The property values went up. I mentioned in the workshop about 100 new houses in that Sun and Fun spec houses. That all gets added to the tax roll. I just wish the board would be a little bit more judicious in their expenditures on things that they don't have to spend on. Because whether you like it or not, I believe our federal government is fixing to change course in the way that they allocate money. That's gonna dribble down to the state, and then that's gonna dribble down to y'all. So I think we really need to be proactive, looking going forward about our spending habits. Everybody said, oh, it's grant money that costs us. As a taxpayer, it's either gonna cost us in taxes, or we're gonna mortgage our children and our grandchildren's future with debt. I just hope all y'all consider yourselves fiscally conservative. I just wish that you would show it by your actions.
Thank you.
I'd like to say that this board's already discussed to be
cost us with our spending from now till next year.
At the last meeting, we, voted on, not allowing there's an opening in the road department, so we have, put a halt on that. And then I believe Mr. Crosby said that, we was not gonna hire anybody, like, for none of the departments, except for if it need to be a paramedic or a, paramedic or fire rescue person.
Well, the
That
only,
everything's been put on, stop right now.
I cannot come to each one of these meetings and, behave myself, for lack of better words. So I watch them a little bit on the videos and read the agendas and the minutes and stuff, but, it's just hard when you get out here and work all your life, and you do without stuff as a business person, and I mean, some of y'all have businesses, but most of you have worked for either in some sort of government related fields throughout your careers. It's a lot easier to spend other people's money than it is to spend your own. And that's just what my point was. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, we'll move on. Any constitutional officers that would like to speak, present to the board? Okay, we'll move on to, let's see, we had a time certain at 4:15. Pleasure of the board.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Thomas and a second from Mr. Smith to approve Resolution 2025-06 and the budget amendment along with it.
Yeah, just a real quick comment. The sheriff presented this proposal last meeting, and we had quite a bit of discussion, and if anybody's interested in that proposal and discussion and the need for the additional staff for the jail, then, or if you have questions from us, we'd be glad to try to answer them for you. So, and I'm sure the sheriff would be glad to do that as well.
Yeah, who made the motion?
I did.
I think we ought to, treat that separately, have resolution first and the budget entry, or vice versa. I think they would like that better, but better
We-
than minutes.
We normally, we normally do lump those together.
You do lump them together?
Yes,
That
sir.
doesn't create any issues with your office?
No,
Okay.
sir.
I stand corrected.
So we're doing both at the same time, aren't we?
Do both of them.
That's what I thought. Okay, any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passed.
Motion to approve resolution 2025-07 and budget entry 25-002.
I second it.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Sharon Langford and a second by Commissioner Bill Martin to pass Resolution 2025-07 and the budget amendment. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Okay. We have another one at 4:30. We got about 2 minutes. Bobby, you wanna go for 2 minutes?
Sure. The one I have is on 6A is solid waste. It's the task order. If you know, Mr. John Locklear is here. Here's the task order, looking towards, to start the engineering and for design services. There's quite a bit of work that has to be done, as well as, you know, as geo and sampling, just to be sure that we can build there, as we've talked a number of times in budgeted funding, and we're also requesting funding from the appropriations as well. This is broke down into 3 phases. Phase 1 has 2 tasks. Phase 2 has 3 tasks. Phase 3 has 4 tasks. Phase 1's $125,000. Phase 2's $175,000. Phase 3 would be $400,000. What we'd like to do is start with Phase 1. Of course, if Phase 1 goes, we'd need to go to Phase 2, and then if Phase 2 is sufficient, we'd need to go to Phase 3. But after Phase 1, what we will do is come in and report to the board what was found within Phase 1, let you know what we found on the site, what we can do and what we can't do, how we can move forward. So, and this is a lump sum fee for these services of $700,000. But like I said, if, what we would prefer to do before we move on past Phase 1, will be to come in and present to the board, and then, with the consent of the board, we'll go to Phase 2 after that.
Bobby, can you, because there's quite a few people here maybe that hadn't heard the background, just give a brief summary on how we got to this point and the need for additional services?
Basically, our current facility is at least 30 years old. The facility itself is deteriorating and is going to have to be replaced. The building itself is deteriorating. We have repaired what we call the tipping floor once already, several years back, and that's getting to a point that it's going to have to be repaired again. The other thing, the amount of trash that we are accumulating is hard to handle it on the small area, basically due to the growth of our community, and a lot of that is to, we're seeing a lot more trash now too, and a lot of that is coming from, we feel, a lot of people don't shop anymore. It's Amazon, it's UPS, and you have a lot of boxes and different things. We do recycle anything that we can, cardboard, certain items, but you gotta have an area to do recycling as well too. So basically with the growth and the expansion over the last 30, 35 years, when that facility was built, there's probably 6,000 or 7,000 people in the county, and now there's almost 20,000 people in the county. So, and the facility is worn out, so we just gotta have more room to do it with.
Yeah.
This would be built on existing county property, so it's not a property involved. But what we have to do is make sure there's a lot of testing that goes in with a solid waste facility, for a lot of different reasons, and we have to start that testing process.
Yeah, I talked to Bobby Rush, and I think he's doing a good job of trying to be as efficient as he can be and run the operation. I know we've added compactors to the remote sites in the last years, which has made us a lot more efficient and cutting down on trips to the main facility. But what he told me was, in the last 10 years, we've increased by about 1,000 to 1,500 tons per year. And we're operating on basically less per ton than we were 10 years ago. The other thing, just to mention, is we've asked for, so we approved, what was it, $3.5 million in the budget last year to help with this. I think what I've heard is the initial estimates were in the $7 million range. We've asked the legislature for $4 million budget appropriation. I wonder, based on what I've heard and from federal, state level, that I'm hopeful, but I'm not sure we're gonna get that. Maybe we get Phase 1 of half of it or a quarter of it. I don't know. But I think we need to consider that as we consider this proposal.
You know, last time we asked him to see if there were some ways he could trim some fat off of this, and I don't see any fat trimmed. What I see is instead of 2 big payments, I see 3 a little bit smaller payments. And it's same amount, just busted up 3 times instead of twice. I was hoping we could take money off of the top, not just break up our payments into 3 or 4 easier payments, but, if there was some fat that could be trimmed off of the whole thing. I understand our need for a solid waste facility. I understand the need for our residents to be able to have a place to dispose of their trash. I do not see us going in debt $7 million to do that, though.
Yeah.
And until we find out whether we've got that grant money, we're spending a whole lot of money with the hopes that we might get some grant money. And I'm just wondering if we go and drop $120,000 or $130,000 on the first phase, and then we find out we don't get this money, we just dropped $130,000, $140,000. And we really can't go forward with it unless we've got some money somewhere. So, that was my concern is I was hoping to trim the whole entire cost down a little bit,
I thought
not
that's
just
what we were
break
supposed
our
to do.
cost into smaller amounts.
I thought that's what we were supposed to do at the last meeting.
That's what I was under
If
the
you remember, I
assumption.
sent you a comparison chart. That's what you asked for, was a comparison that we sent to you, so you could see what their costs, and this is in with comparison. You know, I understand you want to try to cut more off. That's why we kind of did try to break it down into 3 phases. So, but if we did 1 phase and find we can't move forward, we don't continue, you know, to spend additional money. But I will, just so you know, for comparison, most of these roads that we do, it gets broken up into 2, is anywhere from $600,000 to $700,000 worth of engineering and inspection fees just to do a road. So I think, yes, most of the time we got grant money paying for that, but I think your fee is probably in line. It's just, do you want to move forward or not? So, and one thing that we are going to have to do at some point, I mean, even if we only build a portion of this, we're gonna have to build some of it, because we are very fortunate in Gilchrist County. We don't keep any trash here. We're transfer stations, and over the last 5 years, we've reduced the operational costs there, not increased it. But we're gonna have to have a facility if we continue to manage. When you talk waste on it, there's about 20 semis, 21 semis a load of trash that gets hauled out of here every month.
Well, I see the need for it,
We need
no
that.
doubt about that. I have said that over and over, that I see the need. I just, know we don't have $7 million to build it yet.
Well, yes, and at this point, we're not looking to build a $7 million facility.
So if we
You know,
get to
we may only
phase
be able to build
one,
a $3.5 million
and we see we don't have the money, then it stops.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying, we purposely did $3.5 million in case we didn't get the $4 million. We could at least build something larger than what we have now, because we've got to spend money on what we got now, or either put in a new facility. It makes more sense to put in a new facility. And we'll just have to build a smaller facility and work with a smaller facility until hopefully we can get the appropriations money to finish it and enlarge the facility to what we actually need.
So if it comes down to it, at the end, we may have to cut the mosquito control building out, or we may have to cut some of those things out, but we still need to have the main facility.
Right,
to
well,
handle the trash.
right, yes. And the mosquito control building is a combination. What it is, there's certain chemicals you use, and all it is a room where you have to lock those chemicals up. So, I mean, as long as we got a facility or a way to lock certain chemicals up, just like you have to do in agriculture when you farm. You got certain chemicals you can set on a shelf, certain chemicals got to be behind a key. And, that's what that is. So, so really the mosquito part is just, it's the same building we're sharing to lock up the environmental sensitive required, so that we don't get flagged and can't operate our facility.
Yeah. Mr. Locklear, we appreciate you working to make it better in phases, is appreciated. A question is, in phase 1, you're talking about a preliminary conceptual design. Can you, if we don't get the funding from the legislature, would you be able to do that design based on the scale back version?
Absolutely. John, say about that, I appreciate all the comments, I understand. If we go back to the drawing board and try to look at ways to cut costs, but as I mentioned to you last time I was here, there are a lot of subjects open from this that I can't really, I don't control their budget, so geotech, electrical, you know, it's a much more complicated job than a road design, I'm afraid. So I wasn't able to really drop it. So the idea was, let's try to break it into phases to not put you on the hook for as much, so you can make some decisions along the way. But to answer your question, Commissioner, yes, we can certainly be flexible in how we design it. As you mentioned, there are components that we would like to have, obviously, the HHW, household hazardous waste, mosquito control, a better scale house, better to scale. There are a lot of things that would be ideal that we may not be able to afford if we don't get that appropriation. And we can certainly scale back the conceptual design. First phase is really to sort of play with the options of what does the space allow, stormwater wise, you know, setback distances that are required, and most importantly, the geotech. What will it support? We're talking about a lot of weight when you bring in those trucks and you got all the trash on the floor, and it's a pretty big building as it is. So, you know, before we expend any more money, we make sure it'll support it. And that's kind of where I went with, let's make logical breakpoints where we can say, okay, well, it won't work this way. What can we do instead? Or it will, and let's choose to move forward or not, you know, based on that data. So that was kind of why I broke it into 3 separate chunks, as it were. But I understand your point, Commissioner, about, you know, if we don't get that money, then what? And I think Bobby hit it on the head, is we would have to really kind of go bare bones. What is essential to the operation? The problem that you face right now is the tip floor is too small, and the structural integrity of the building is starting to get a little iffy. We went out and looked at it. If you recall, a year or two ago, we actually tried to figure out if we could retrofit the existing facility, make it bigger, extend it, and there's just not room on that little post, right? And then you get into some safety issues with the way it has to be operated with mom and pop crossing, with haul trucks, and so we're moving to this other spot. We're hoping to eliminate or reduce that risk by being able to control traffic with more space. But, you know, we can go to build what we can pay for, you know, whether that's big enough for right now, but maybe not 10 years from now. We have to try to expand it. You know, it would be the guts of it would be a metal building, which is pretty expandable pretty easily. We would need to, you know, if you did build it in phases, let's say you sized it for what you could afford right now, and 5-10 years from now, you're outgrowing it again, and obviously your costs would have gone up in that 10-year period, but you wouldn't be expending it or borrowing to expend it right now.
So the first phase, it's gonna be this much, whether you're building a huge place or building a small place.
Correct.
It's gonna be the same amount, because that's what it costs to run the bore samples and the ground samples and all
All
that.
the studies.
Correct.
Okay, now, I understand, that makes a little more sense, because it doesn't matter how big it is, it's gonna
Not
be
wasted effort.
pretty much the
Right.
same thing.
Right.
Correct.
And we gotta do
Mr.
something.
Sheriff,
And you gotta do something.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. So if that were the case, and we were not to get the funding, would that mean that phase 3 would be reduced based on that?
You could probably drop a few things because the footprint would become smaller, and so some of the design would drop. The building itself, there's still going to need to be a structural, you know, so yes, how much it could drop, I don't know. But yes, there would be less things for us to do if we cut out the new scale house and we cut out the HSW and mosquito control. So yes, some components could drop out from our fee as well.
Can we just approve phase 1 just first,
I
and
think
then,
that was
and then come back and then approve the
That-
phases as we get the funding? Could we
Yeah,
do
that's
that?
actually what we were.
yeah, I thought that lowered your
Yeah,
risk. You
yeah.
know, you're
That way
just
we're not
looking-
approving everything in case.
Right.
Yes, ma'am, that was why I kind of broke it
That way,
I
if
thought.
we did have to scale it down, we could come back and
I could
hopefully
give you
this
a
number
revi-
would be
right,
low,
could give you a
lower,
revised
yes.
Phase 2, phase 3, whichever.
One other question, on the mechanical, it says, HVAC notes and legend. Is that in regards to when it says HVAC, is that just like a system to make airflow, or?
Well, yeah, we do have got some airflow in the open floor, but I think the primary goal of that was been talking with Bobby West, was gonna try to have a little office and some, restrooms on one side of the, building. So that's what that was really for.
So, one of the things I've talked to you a little bit about, and Bobby, you know, the model we're under right now, we're compacted in these remote sites, bringing all of it to Bell, loading, then taking it all to New River. There's no other possible alternative to, if, say, 50-60% of the waste is coming from the east side, having something else there. I get it's hard to permit those facilities, efficiencies, all that stuff. I'm just asking if you've looked at all that, or
I
we can
would
make sure.
I would say this, that if, and I haven't done the analysis of a direct haul, as it were, so you would get your compactors, trucks picked up, and if the landfill's close enough, direct haul it. So there's a cost per mile ton, they call it. So, we could easily do that if you were to say, you know, pick some centers that are your highest volume. What would it cost in fuel and manpower and all that per mile ton versus what does it cost to long haul it? So when you, obviously when you add in, you know, into your long haul trailer, you got 22 tons you can put on there, versus 6 or 8. I don't know how big your compactors are. So there's obviously a big cost savings or economy of scale, as it were. But if you're spending money to bring that compactor further away from the landfill and then putting in a long haul and doing back, you know, basically backtracking, there could be an opportunity for some direct haul. What you and I talked about potentially was, could we have a facility where we could consolidate those, not in this transfer station, but in a different spot, and not without high costs. It would be something similar to what we're doing here, and now you're talking about 2 places. Yeah. That would be the challenge.
I just think we ought to explore the alternative.
I could certainly look at the cost.
One of the things, concerns is the traffic by the school, Bell and elementary and high school. And so if we can reduce, plus we're gonna have growth, and it's just gonna continue to increase over time, and maybe there's a different model we can look at than just bringing it all to that spot.
I can certainly, as part of this, work with Bobby Rush and do some math and come back with you and say, you know, it makes sense or it doesn't, whichever, however the math comes out, to, like I said, direct haul some percentage of your waste. I just don't know.
Even if you didn't have to put in a whole facility, but you could direct haul it some anyway,
Right.
that would be a huge savings. But I understand if you're gonna put a facility in,
Right.
then you gotta pay that $130,000 at the beginning for them to come in and put in the drainage and all that kind of stuff, so.
It's a big undertaking.
Yeah, if you could just direct haul and not have to build a facility, I could see that being a savings. But if you're gonna have to build a facility, then now you're looking for another $4 million to do that.
And what we've got to consider, you know, Bobby Rush has done a great job down there, but our direct haul is probably a 100-mile round trip.
That's pretty far. Yeah.
So, you know, because we're going to New River, I mean, over there. So, that's why and one of the reasons we put in the compactors, which saved us a lot of money, we probably went from 3 trips a day from each side, or a minimum of 2, to maybe 1 a week now, you know, and we have an extra compactor, so they don't even have to come dump it and go back. We can move a compactor, hook it up, and come back. So we have cut the trips down to, I mean, to the point where you would almost have to have a vehicle by now if we hadn't cut the trucks down just to shuttle it around. So we cut all of that to a minimum, but to haul a fourth of your load, 100-mile round trip,
Unlikely to be efficient.
no, it's not efficient. No.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
I didn't know if there was a way to pack the same amount of trash in a trailer at a different site and haul it from there instead of having to haul it all to one facility.
Well, you could, but you'd have to put in another typical.
Right, exactly.
Because you got the building, that, yeah,
You gotta meet all the DEP regulations.
right.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
I think we ought to start with phase 1, gotta have it, see where we at.
I agree.
So I'll make a motion to move forward with phase 1.
With phase 1, I second it, for phase 1.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Thomas and a second from Commissioner Sharon Langford to approve the proposal for phase 1 on the solid waste facility. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Okay, we got another time certain. We've run a little bit behind, but it starts right now, 4:30. And I guess Mr. Duthie will handle that.
Mr. Stubbs is gonna handle it, but I'm gonna give you some preliminaries. This is a quasi judicial hearing because it's site specific. At the conclusion of the hearing, the board will render a decision of the requested action. The board decision must be based upon substantial, competent evidence presented. Mere opinion is not considered substantial, competent evidence. The chair, commission members, party, or staff can raise an objection to irrelevant and immaterial testimony or evidence, or testimony that's unduly cumulative or repetitious previously presented testimony. At this time, I would ask if any board member has had any ex parte or outside contact with the applicant or members of the public on this matter, you should disclose that on the record now to remove any presumption of prejudice.
I had several people call me, that were opposed to it, and then I've talked to several that were in favor of it, but nothing that keeps me from making a decision.
Yeah, no name,
No.
not by name that you would disclose.
I've had some emails and some conversations, and I also talked with, Mr. Spencer.
I've had the same.
Same,
I've had Gene Wanzer, Steve Blatton, and Jan White.
for the record, let that be included, or Ms. Langford.
I've had some contact.
Just various miscellaneous phone calls that you're opposed to.
I'm for it, come again.
Okay. Does any board member have any sort of conflict of interest in this matter that they need to disclose at this time?
Yeah, after I'm speaking to, our county attorney, I'm gonna be filing a Form 8B memorandum of voting conflict for the county. I'm, employed by the Gilchrist County School District full-time.
Okay, let the record reflect that as well. And
So I
I think,
will not be voting on it.
and I think you've already, begun that, if you already might have finished it, I'm not sure.
I just finished it.
That, you're filing that memorandum form
Yes,
8B
sir.
now?
I
Okay.
just filled it out.
What we'll do, Mr. Brandon Stubbs from North Florida Professional Services, he will present the application, followed by questions from the board. The applicant will then make their presentation, if any, the school, followed by questions from the board. There can be rebuttal testimony by staff or applicant, followed by public input, evidence and comment. Then there will be deliberation by the board. And the board at that point then can approve the matter, deny the matter, or approve the matter with conditions. Are there any questions? Hearing none, at this point, I'll turn the floor over to Mr. Stubbs, but I think probably what I need to do is go ahead and swear Mr. Stubbs in for his substantial competent evidence that he'll be presenting on behalf of the board. So raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
The applicant has been duly sworn. I just want to say, if there are members of the public that wish to provide substantial competent evidence, they will need to be sworn as well. Mere opinion, as I stated, is not considered, but if you have something that you want to bring to the board to have it included in the record as evidence, then I'll need to swear you in. Go ahead, Mr. Stubbs.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board. Brandon Stubbs, I'm the active planner for the county, and I work for North Florida Professional Services.
And speak up if you would
Yes,
like.
please.
I think, got a big audience, I don't know if they can hear you.
You know, I got this mic about as close as I can get it here, but without chewing on it. At this time, I will go and read the resolution, by title only, if it's the will of the commission. Resolution number PZ-LPA 2025-03. A resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Gilchrist County, Florida, serving as the Planning and Zoning Board of Gilchrist County, Florida, and the local planning agency of Gilchrist County, Florida, recommending to the Board of County Commissioners of Gilchrist County, Florida, approval of an amendment to the future land use map series of the comprehensive plan pursuant to an application by the property owner under the amendment procedures established in sections 163.3161 through 163.3248 Florida statute as amended, providing for an amending the land use classification from agricultural 2, A2, to public within the unincorporated limits of Gilchrist County, Florida, repealing all resolution and conflict and providing for an effective date. I will go through my staff report or data analysis and transfer report this time. This is an application by Clay Slager, AICP, who is with EVA Consultants, Inc., on behalf of HLT Gilchrist LLC as the owner. This proposes to amend, plus or minus 50 acres of tax parcel 31-08-16-00000001-0000 from an agricultural land use classification to a public land use classification. This property is north of Swanee Street, or north of East Swanee Street, and vacant agricultural land, south of single-family residences, and vacant agricultural lands, east of vacant agricultural lands, and west of State Road 47, vacant agricultural lands. If you look on the vicinity map on page 5 of my staff report, you'll notice there's not a whole lot of residential uses around it. There's all zoned ag, of course, but as far as residences, there's not really that many immediately adjacent. Most of the ones immediately adjacent are to the north there. To the south, HLT Gilchrist owns an additional roughly 190 acres, I think. The area across the street on 47 is mostly planted pines under a different ownership. And then the parcels to the west are also just planted pines or silvicultural type uses. The agricultural future land use map designation typically allows for the A2 allows for a 5-acre lot. The public land use doesn't really have a necessarily a minimum lot size, but it does have a minimum floor area ratio, which is 0.25. So what that means is out of 50 acres, a quarter of that would be eligible for development for floor area or building area. And the public future land use designation, the public allows for public charter, private schools, public facilities, grounds, other public facilities such as sewer facilities, solid waste transfer stations, solid waste processing, recycling facilities, land clearing, debris disposal facilities, drainage facilities, potable water facilities. There's some other things that are also allowed. But mind you, anything that within the public land use is not allowed by right. Everything requires what's called a development of major impact. So that's the same process that mining facilities or excavation facilities or any of those big, kind of controversial items have to go through. So it's a very scrutinous process for anything. So just because something has a public land use doesn't mean that they automatically just get to go out there and build what they want to build. That everything within that land use district requires a development of major impact process.
Brandon, can I, because I know you and I talked about that specific thing, I got a question about if the board approved this and made it public, then what else could, you just kind of explained it would need a lot more major development review. But the question I had was, can we, if we approved it, make it contingent on the school only? And if it wasn't school, it wouldn't be public, or you told me you didn't think so?
Correct, and I believe that would be under contract zoning, which is not permissible under law.
Say that again?
So that would be what's called contract zoning, which would be prohibited by law. On page 5 again, of course, there's vicinity map and then consistency with the comprehensive plan. Reviewing the application with consistency with the comprehensive plan. It is in the staff's opinion that it is consistent with the comprehensive plan and with the adjacent uses that surround the subject property.
Brandon, can I stop you right there?
Yes, sir.
On page 5?
Yes, sir.
Is that a scrivener's error there at the,
Yeah, on the
where it
proposed,
says agricultural -5, A5?
yes, sir, that is, I'm sorry,
And it's also in the proposed column over there as
Correct.
well. You're going to public.
correct,
It's-
yes.
It's A2.
Excuse me, yes. Under table two, that should be agricultural two to public.
Yeah, well, just make a note of that, with that, that's just a scrivener's error because, it's all A2 now, then you're trying to go to public.
Correct.
Okay.
And then under the map two, map three, to show you what the amendment would look like on the future land use map before and after. And, again, the public land use is a land use that is kind of, consistent with most any adjacent land uses because the intent is to serve a public purpose in the area in which it's located. So, and again, that's also why your code requires a development of major impact process for any uses within a public land use because it does allow for a broad range, and so you may have a public land use, well, it might not be suitable for a dump station or, some other use like that, but it might be suitable for a potable water plant or a school or something like that. So public is a land use, that does allow many different aspects of public uses, but I mean, it could be, again, the public land use could allow for a public park or recreation facility. So that's why when you look at the land use itself, it is compatible, especially in ag or, larger tracts of land like that, or in areas that allow for larger tracts of land. Analyzing the land use comparison, again, and forgive me my, scrivener's error for the A5, but,
That's at the top of the page on seven?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's actually A2, so forgive me my scrivener's error. That's one joint unit for 5 acres, but it does not have a floor area ratio. But the public doesn't have a minimum lot size, but has a floor area ratio, and that's typically because anytime you're dealing with facilities that are not residential in nature, it's treated as intensity, not density. You don't build houses in a public land use, so you have to have some form of governing, standard, which would be, a 0.25, but, which is a little bit more intense than what you would have like in an agricultural, but in theory, you could have agricultural with a 0.25 floor area ratio, as far as coverage is concerned, but, typically it's not that much, but in analyzing the impact, yes, the potential for impacts is definitely greater under the public than it would be under the agricultural. And I'll go through the environmental, conditions analysis and then go through the public impacts. There are no wetlands located on the subject property according to the National Wetlands Inventory. So there's no wetlands to consider. The soil type is, penny fine sandstone, which is actually a very good, if you're familiar with that area. It's very sandy, very permeable. There's no real great issues related to stormwater or stormwater retention. There was a little bit of area that had, Ortega fine sand, but even that is a very moderate, draining soil. It doesn't really keep water on site, like it's not gonna swamp up or be boggy, anything. According to the FEMA panel 0140D, that property is in what's known as a flood zone X, which is outside the 500-year for the annual 0.02% chance of flood. The property is not located within a stream or sink area. The minerals known to that area are phosphate sand. This is not intended to be a mine or to be mined. As far as historical resources, there's no historical, it's all planted pines. There's never been any historical significance or anything on that property. Also, on vulnerability, this property is also not located in a high aquifer recharge area. So it's not, no concerns related to high oxygen recharge, but they'll still be subject to, water management district standards and, permitting for stormwater management. And also there's not any known vegetative communities. This is all planted pine, so there's not a ton of special, vegetative communities in this area. If you analyze the, impact, for traffic, you can see on page, 9 of 11, looking at like if there was a typical single-family dwelling built out of 50 acres, you get roughly 94 trips a day, with 10 of those being PMP trips. As an elementary school, based upon the anticipated size of the elementary school and the staffing, you're looking at possibly 1,952 trips a day with 106 PM peak hour, which would net you roughly 1,858 trips per day or 96 trips during the peak hour. Analyzing that segment of road of 47, you're still well. I mean, your maximum service volume for that segment is 14,700. Even with the impacts of the proposed development, you're still looking at a residual capacity of 10,342 trips. Or under peak, you're still looking at a residual of 1,016 trips. So it's pretty substantial considering that it's not really doing a massive impact. Now, one thing that this does not analyze, this is a worst case scenario. It doesn't analyze people who are already on that road, who are just dropping their kids off, who are already coming that way. You got a lot of passerby rates with schools, because people are dropping their kids off as they go into work, vice versa. So it doesn't impact that. They just look at it from the worst case scenario that we could think of and make sure that it would fit within the concurrency guidelines. Potable water, sanitary sewer, those issues will have to be addressed at the time of DMI, should this be approved. And the reason why I say that, there's no potable water sanitary sewer facilities out there. So in order for a school to develop, they're going to have their own sewer system and their own water system. No way around it. So that's going to be a DEP and local government permitting issue at the time of development of major impacts. Solid waste, it's anticipated that the facility will generate 17.96 tons per year. Currently, that would not affect the plant to be at an area where it would throw the plant out of capacity. And then recreation, public schools, if it is proposed as a public school, recreation facilities, schools typically have recreation facilities on site, but they're not considered for recreation under concurrency because they're not generating a use that requires additional recreation facilities. Also, if you're building a school, well, that's add school capacity, so we're not really looking at that per se. And that concludes my staff report. I'm here to answer any questions. And I will say that on the page 2 in my staff report, I do have a recommendation from as a consultant to the board. This is just my recommendation. So this board has pure discretion, of course, but I was told to make a recommendation, so that's what I did. Based on all the findings from a comp planning perspective, there's no issues related to this property that would preclude it from being eligible to be amended to a public land use.
One of the,
Yeah, more
and I don't know if it's time to bring these up, but one of the concerns that I heard is this is a road that's traveled by a lot of heavy truck traffic. I don't live on 47, so I don't know whether that's exactly true or not, but some people were worried about the heavy truck traffic being in front of a school. Was that going to cause any additional safety issues but I saw on your road report, this road is more than capable of handling that traffic.
Correct, yes, sir.
Okay, the other concern was, is traffic gonna be backing up on the road like they do at Bell and Trenton? If you go to Bell and Trenton in the morning or the afternoon, you see they're backed up on the road. That is a big safety concern. I'm sure the school, when they give their report, will be able to tell us if that's been brought up as one of their issues, but that was just, those are some of the concerns I've heard, which are certainly a concern, and hopefully they'll be able to give their recommendations of how that's gonna be taken care of if
Yes, sir, and this is off State Road 47, so one of the beauties of this is they will have to submit a, concurrency impact analysis to the state, and they will have to be able to justify all the trips that they do generate. So it wouldn't be, any surprise to me if the state requires them to put in excessive turn lanes, left-hand turn lanes, right-hand turn lanes, queuing sessions, things of that nature. Every school that I have been involved with, that is located on, a state road has had left-hand turn lanes, stacking lanes, right-hand turn lanes. They can have so much depth within the roadway before they could even have cars that are allowed to stop. So they do measures for that stacking. Now, they also, DOT has standards for school zones when it comes to signalization. So anytime you've driven by any school zone, they got the flashing lights, they got the signs, and then they have the school zone, they have all that from down to the detail, how far they gotta be placed, everything, the signalization on those, by the time they finish, it's about $500,000 for just signalization that they're probably gonna have to end up spending to facilitate that alone, so. I imagine there's probably gonna be some improvements to 47 before it's all said and done, as well as all the traffic signalization things.
till the school board comes up and presents to have any more questions like that. But that's the two I heard most about, concerns about.
Brandon, one of the things I heard about was the power line and the gas line, and and probably the school where the landowners will address this, but have you looked at distance, and there's distance would be required? I guess any state or federal permit would have to be met, which would include that, right?
Right, so any building permit that they get, or any permitting, whether it be the DMI, the process of going through the DMI process, development major impact, there will be no improvements that will be allowed within that easement. So when they go through, and they get their ALTA survey, and their survey indicates what that easement actually, the limits of that, whether it be 150, 200, 250, 300 feet, whatever it is, they will not be able to build within that easement. They can build up to it, but they cannot encroach into that easement at all. In fact, I've dealt with the gas transmission company on some of those easements in the past, when I worked for Columbia County, and this is no joke. They take their stuff serious. Their easement allows them to go through there, and if you build something in their easement, they will plow it down right there in front of you. I've seen them do it. Sheds, whatever, if it's in their easement, and they're driving through there and they see it, they will call through. They'll be out there within an hour with an excavator tearing it down. So, I mean, it's one of those things where as long as they're not within their dedicated easement, they're good, but there will definitely not be any development within that easement.
Anybody else? We're ready for the applicant then?
Thank you, board.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Clay Swager. I'm a certified land planner. I work with EDA consultants, and have the pleasure of working for the Gilchrist County School District here to bring this land use change application to you. I'd just like to make a few brief comments, maybe attempt to answer a couple of the questions that came from the board.
Clay, are you gonna be presenting some substantial competent evidence? Could you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Applicant's been sworn.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. With me today is Superintendent Geiger and David Spencer with facilities for the school district, and also representatives from the architectural firm that'll be working, hopefully, on the school project here in Gilchrist County. So we're here to answer any questions that you have today. I'd like to just briefly go through the application and where we are in the process, highlight some of the things that Mr. Stubbs brought forward to you. He obviously gave you a very comprehensive presentation. My application on behalf of the landowner and school board was a similar type of information, running through compliance with your county comp plan and code. I think it's important to note where we are in the process and how that's going to play out, and the involvement that the county will have, and other agencies for that matter. So as Brandon indicated, this is approximately 50 acres. There is a power line and a gas line easement in the northeastern corner of this property. One of the questions was, the interaction of a potential school site with that easement. Because the property is of a large size, 50 acres, there's ample room to design the campus away from those easements and not interfere with them and have a separation. That's one of the nice things about this property. Obviously, the school board has selected this site because they feel like it's going to be a perfect middle ground and area to enhance the level of service and help with some of the overcrowding issues with the introduction of this elementary school. And I think Superintendent Geiger will speak for a moment or two after I'm done, sort of the bigger picture from the school board's perspective to present to you. So the application today is just a land use map change from A2 to public, and I say just because it doesn't approve a school site, doesn't give any development entitlements and so forth. It does provide the opportunity for this land to be acquired by the school district and to come back to you all with a development of major impact, which is in your land development regulations. That site plan has to be prepared by the school district and their consultants to show you the layout, show you the configuration, and address some of the issues, setbacks from the road, buffers. Traffic is extremely important. Obviously, with a school, you can't think of a more important group of people to be protecting and keeping safe. This is a DOT right-of-way, 47. And so DOT will require a professional traffic engineer to do a study and do all the analysis to show what improvements need to occur on 47. I agree with Mr. Stubbs. I fully anticipate turn lanes and so forth being required and provided here for very safe ingress and egress. Also, the good news about this property with a potential school site is there's plenty of room for on-site parking and queuing of vehicles. Obviously, a lot of them happen at a certain amount of time, in the morning, drop off, pick up in the afternoon. There's plenty of room to have all of that occur on site, and that would be part of the development plan that we brought back to you all. There's a lot of sites, school sites that are trying to get shoehorned in on properties, or maybe they're in existing developed areas where they really have an issue with demonstrating how you have that adequate stacking on site. So we feel very confident we'll be able to bring something back to you all to show how that's a safe, very safe condition. As far as traffic goes, right now there's about 80% of the road capacity is available based on the adopted level of service in your comprehensive plan. And so at full build out for this project, you'd be at about 70%. So there's plenty of road capacity, but the key there is to do it and design the improvements for access in a safe way. And so that would occur at a subsequent step and shown to you all as well. Public facilities are available to serve this site. Part of what's spelled out in your land development regulations for developments of major impact is that those uses have to demonstrate that they're not being proposed in environmentally sensitive areas. It also indicates schools shall be on arterial roadways, which is what we have here. The public facilities are available, as Brandon indicated. There would be on-site systems for water and sewer that would be permitted through the FDEP. And obviously, parking and circulation is one of the requirements. Those are just some of the things that the development of, the major development, development of major impact would require and to bring back to you all. So we feel really good about the fact that we'll have a chance to give you those details and you don't just have to trust us on everything. So, but right now we are just in the process of, getting this use as a potential permitted use so the school can acquire the land and start really doing the heavy lifting on the design work to bring back to the county. So with that, I'll conclude. If you're here to answer any questions, I believe the superintendent would like to say a few words if you'd allow.
Afternoon, Gina Geiger, Superintendent of Schools. As you know, the school board voted and approved to build a new elementary school in Gilchrist County, right off State Road 47. And I know there's been some questions and concerns, either, about the school and its location. And so I've asked David Spencer, who's our Director of Operations, he's going to do a short presentation, and there'll be some visuals in there, and let him kind of explain that process that we've been going through the last 2 years. And hopefully, we can answer any questions and concerns that you have. Thank you.
David, are you gonna present evidence?
Sorry?
Substantial and competent evidence, is that what you intend to do, or are you just gonna?
Appreciate y'all, this opportunity. This is our school is funded through a program through the Department of Education. It's called the Special Facility Construction Account. And it's administered through DOE, and it's fully funded through the legislature. And the steps that we follow, I was going to kind of chronologically lay it out. We started this process way back in fall of 22, when we made a trip up to Tallahassee and explained our needs. We have overcrowding at Bell and at Trenton, the traffic issues, and starting to accumulate a lot of portables. So DOE sent a team, and that started in the fall of 22 that we made that trip. And in December the 5th of 22, DOE sent a team from Tallahassee to conduct what we call a spot survey. And what they do is just validate what we call. They come down and say, hey, this is what you have, this is how many students you have, this is where you are, and they call it a survey. Okay, so in January of 23, the letter was sent to the Office of Educational Facilities. The letter requested that the pre-application review committee examine the critical need of constructing a new elementary school in Gilchrist County. So they had to determine that it was critical, and we sent a letter requesting that it come back. Okay, on April of 28, DOE sent the pre-application committee. The committee held a public meeting at the Gilchrist County School Board, and the school board committee presented to this committee and at the district needs. And then on May of 23, phase 1 plans were certified by the Gilchrist County School Board. June of 23, we received a letter from the Suzanne Pridgeon, which is the Deputy Commissioner of Finance and Operations of the Florida Department of Education. The letter stated that the new elementary school project meets the criteria for a critical need project. August of 23, Gilchrist County School Board approved the Department of Education spot survey, which included the new recommendations. And schools are built by, when they're funded through the Department of Education, they send you the criteria and tell you how many student spaces, the size of the cafeteria, the amount of the media center, and all that whole facility is designed by them. We can't just go out there with their money and design the Taj Mahal. They tell us what we need, what we can build, and the funding. And I'm kind of laying out what the process is. So in August of 23, a team from Gilchrist County, and you really compete for these funding. And a team, and some of y'all went with us, and the sheriff and the committee went up and was presented to this committee at Tallahassee that was from the governor's office, Department of Education, other superintendents from the districts that do not qualify, and they ranked us.
I went to that meeting with you. I was invited and went.
Yep.
Very informative.
Yep. So, then in, December of 12th, letters were sent to Representative Chuck Clemens and Senator Bradley requesting their support in the legislative budget cycle. And then in March of 24, project was approved by the Florida House of Representatives and the Florida State budget for the 24-25 fiscal year. March 22nd of 2024, entered into a purchasing option agreement with HLT Gilchrist LLC, and that was signed by the board of school board chair Christy McElroy and Superintendent Dr. Sorensen. On May 6th of 2024, a presentation of the new school to the Gilchrist County Rotary Club. So some of y'all have already seen the presentation. And then on the June 19th, the new school was included in the governor's fiscal budget for 24-25. So our first draw was it could have been in July this year or last year. Okay, and then on November the 4th, we had another school board workshop on this, and there was other ideas, and so we had DOE on the conference call and telling them and trying to massage some other ideas. And so the director, Ms. Viola Brown, she's a senior education program director of the Office of Education Facilities. She stressed the importance of having students in brick and mortar instead of portables. She emphasized that we could not alter or change DOE's approved submitted plans without starting the process over again. And she also stated that the process for future funding for a school would be very difficult, if not impossible, if we did not follow through with what we projected. So that being said, we started looking for a site, and in the site, as you can tell, we have the proposed site is in the center of the county on the east side of the Waukesha Flats. And the school is, it alleviates the overcrowding at both schools. And like I said, we were trying to deal with issues at Trenton Elementary and Bell Elementary. And so we put it on the east side of the Waukesha Flats. And the bus transportation for students will be significantly reduced. And all the students on that side, no matter, there's a hazardous walking condition that you have to comply with or make corrections or provide transportation. We feel like we would provide transportation for all those students so they wouldn't have to walk along 47. The next slide, please. On this slide, we're trying to show you kind of the layout. And all the infrastructure needs will be provided through the special facilities construction account, and that's the road improvements, the turnout lanes, the lights, all that comes through this project. They pay for it 100%. All power and gas line setbacks will be complied with applicable proposed codes. So we're in the next slide. I know there's concern about backing up on 47. So the design of the school provides for 251 parking places. It also includes queuing for a capacity of 250 cars. And so we can accommodate 500 cars on this design. The turning lanes will comply with the Department of Transportation, as he was alluded to. That'll have to be permitted and approved by DOT.
David, can I, while you're there, how does that compare to Trenton and Bell Elementary?
Well, at Trenton Elementary, they roughly from 307A to the drop off. I don't know if any of y'all have dealt with that. That's about 100 cars. So we're from y'all helped us put in Lime Rock Road that comes off 307A, comes up behind Trenton Elementary. That accommodates about 100 cars. And Bell Elementary would be about the same between the two. But when we asked them to double lane it, the architects are here now, and make sure that we have plenty of room to get them off 47. So that we have.
So you can take 200 off at this.
250, and if you see, the drive starts on the south end of the property from 47, then it starts to finish up town and makes that loop, and it's double lane. So you can accommodate 250 cars.
But you could actually get 500 cars total off of 47,
500
because you'd
cars.
have 250 parking and 250 in the travel lane, so you could take 500 cars off 47.
Right. And what we're trying to do is address that we're dealing with, as y'all know, here at Trenton and Bell, and y'all are alluding to the traffic along Bell Avenue. It's an issue. So, that's the one reason that, you know, BOE suggested we build a new school or advised and funded is to address the issues at both of them. You can't take special facility funding money and split it up into different projects. And that's when they told us, no, you stay on what we advised you to do, or give the money back and build it.
So that was one of the questions I had is, why don't you just build at Trenton or Bell?
The way that program works, is once they fund it, your payback is the same whether you get a $60 million funding project or you get a $3 million funding project. You pay $1.5 million for 3 years is your payback. And if you save the money through the construction process, you can actually use that money to do your payback. So we're going to be as frugal as possible. And that's what we did at Trenton High School on our last special facility project when we built the cafeteria. We were able to save that money so it didn't cost the taxpayers a dime.
Okay, so you couldn't build on to Trenton and build on to Bell with this money because it won't allow that to
I
happen.
won't allow it. It will not allow it. So,
Plus, it would increase the overcapacity on that
right,
road.
well, your schools are built with a core capacity, and so when you start exceeding the design of the school, then you start expanding the lunch hours. You don't have enough office space, your media center's not adequate, your playground, your covered playground, all that design is for facility to accommodate some of these student stations. And we built out those students, that core facility. And so if you start adding portables, yeah, you can accommodate them out in a portable for a classroom, but then what about your lunchroom? What about your track?
Parking and everything.
Parking.
What was the grant for that y'all received?
40 million.
40 million.
And there's some discussion going in that because of cost escalation, they may add to it, but that's still in cost.
My question is, you got the money to build the school, what about maintenance of the school, keeping the school active? Where's that money from?
Well, what this will do is draw roughly 200 students from each campus that live on that side of Walker-Preston Flats, north or south of the county. And so the teachers for those students will actually move, and then that'll reduce the need for administrators at the current facility. So you'll take a couple of those administrators and they'll follow. Your funding comes by FTE, so as we grow, that'll you generate more income.
FTE is the money that's brought in by the students. It's not
Right.
more taxes that we pay. Each student gets so much for each student, and that's how you fund the school.
Are y'all going to attract students from surrounding counties?
The law requires you, if you have space, that you can open up student enrollment from other counties, but they have to reapply every year. So if you built a school out there and you had lots of county students that wanted to come in, you don't necessarily own it. When you go for that, you reach capacity, you cut it off. If they go to the high school, then they'll have to reapply. If you don't have room, it's a application process.
Kind of related to that, David, when we take students from out of county, one question was, are we getting somebody else's problem? What do we do to evaluate that, to make sure we're not getting issues?
You gotta come up to the there.
Yeah, we have to record it.
When a student applies for out of county, one of the things we check is their grades, their attendance, their discipline history. If they have any of that, then we turn them down. And then if they are coming to our county, which we've had that, and some may be, as Ms. Langford knows, it could be a truancy issue or another behavior. In fact, not too long ago, we did the letter, thank you, but you need to go back to the other county you came from. So we can send them out.
Can I speak, because I kind of do this process for the school, but if the letter that the parents get, it states that, your attendance privilege can be revoked immediately if you have discipline or attendance issues. And also if there's some space that's not available, then, year to year, they may have to, leave if there's not that space available the next year. So the parents know up front with the letter that the district sends out.
Did that answer that question?
How many, can you tell us roughly how many out-of-county students we have?
I really can't. It's interesting because we get them all the time, even now, even though our, open enrollment is closed right at the moment.
Right.
But it's interesting because it's all different, because we'll get some that are homeschool, then you've got private school, and then there's different rules for that, as far as relation to sports. So, yeah, I don't know the exact number, because they come in throughout the day, literally every week we're getting them. And depending on, what grade, like elementary, it's automatic no, because we're over capacity, that's why we're building a new school. And, depending on the middle school, what grade level, there's seats available, we may make an exception, but otherwise,
Yeah, we're kind of getting in the area that we're depending on you and the school board and the state of Florida. We're not experts in determining whether all that or we need it for schools. We're just looking at the land use. But there's some questions that came up when we got this on the agenda, so that's why we're asking.
oh, yeah, that's good. That's why we're here.
I got a question. Whenever y'all had these workshops and stuff with school board meetings, did you have a lot of people come to you contesting it? And it was advertised that y'all be talking about the school, new school?
Yeah, we've actually had people that came that were for the school, or some people that weren't sure, but once they heard Ms. Violet Brown from the Department of Ed say, if you send this money back, it's slim to no chance of getting it in the future. So that was kind of like, for all of us as a board, like, wow, it's kind of crazy to send this money that they're sending to us to go to school. And I think
Send it back and not have a chance of getting it
in
again.
the future. Right.
One of the questions I was asked too, David, was about, the school taxes. In other words, some people have a fear that their school taxes are now gonna double and triple to pay for those. Yeah. Yeah. Another issue that was brought up is you build the elementary school, these kids are not gonna be in elementary forever. So when they start graduating from grade 5 and move on to grade 6, where will they go from there? If
they're out of county, you don't have to take them.
Right.
If they're in county, you don't have to.
Yeah.
So when they'll go back to the perspective, now that's still to be determined by the board.
Right.
Theoretically, at this point, what you do is make them there, at elementary, and go back to the perspective, high school,
And we have some capacity there?
Especially the high school, it'll be depending on the grade.
Yeah.
So the, Trent High School has a
So y'all did go out and try to find other parcels of property besides just this one? Y'all did go out and try to find other parcels of property? Yeah.
But it's hard to find. That, and ideally, if you look at the map, it's central county, east side, close to one traffic plant. Yeah, so we don't want to build, might get it. Center of the county. But getting it on that side of the one. Currently, we'll load our elementary schools down. We transport those elementary kids up to the high school. They visit them. Good luck. So you're traveling across 5 miles one side, and that's part of the reason for that. Both elementary kids will be neighborhood kind of schools.
And what did you model this after as far as getting some type of site plan or some type of ideal?
We started this, and then when you had that site plan, one of our phase one drawing by February 1st. So obviously you don't have time to build a school in that time. So we modeled that this school was modeled after what they did in Baker County, Legacy.
On 121 there?
Right there on 121. Yeah. And so the question I had, and they don't have near the 250, we actually went and visited that school. I asked them, did they ever have any trouble with traffic backing up to 121? They said one time, at early hour of Christmas or something, it made it, but not over. So that serpentine design, and our architect for that, expanded on.
Anybody got anything else? Yeah. Okay. Y'all ready for public input?
I don't know whether we're ready.
Okay, okay. So would anybody from the public like to speak? You'll have to come up to the mic and state your name for the record. The gentleman back there is first, Stephen, then I'll get you.
My name is Matt Henson. I own and live at property directly to the north of the proposed acreage.
Excuse
my
me,
house-
Matt, are you gonna present any substantial or competent evidence, or are you just making
No.
comments?
Just making comments.
Thank you.
My house is up on a hill. It overlooks almost that entire site. I bought it about 5 years ago because it was in a quiet area surrounded by ag land and large lots of other residential properties. A couple months ago, they clear cut all the pines that were there, but I expected it to maintain ag designation, and now they're talking about 1,200 cars a day, school buses, ton of noise, ton of traffic, constant doors slamming, all of that every morning and afternoon. So I'm pretty against the idea of building a school right there when there's really no houses around there. There's me and a couple neighbors to the north, and then really nothing to the south for miles. So we got to bus in every single one of those kids or come in on a car. Like, why not build a school near where the students are actually located? That's what I got.
Okay, thank you, sir. Steve?
I'd ask if you, I don't know whether this is the appropriate phase of the development or not, but I'd ask if you put a requirement on the school that all of the external lighting be limited to a 50-foot mast and be monochromatic, pointed down. The reason is there's a neighbor out there that has a substantial investment in a private observatory and runs 6-hour photographic exposures and the night light would essentially wipe out their investment.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Name's Walter Fisher. I live on Swanee Street, just south of where you're located. Federal law states that you're gonna have a firearm in your possession 1,000 feet from the school zone. How's that gonna affect everybody out there who hunts, fish, so forth? Is that taken into consideration? Apparently not. You have a 5-year plan. If the elementary school is going in here, middle school you're mentioning, high school, that future properties, that's now going to be, future school possibilities? What's your 5-year plan? Last, I have 5 acres on 47. I get offers every week for that property. They wanna build a convenience store or something there. Is that gonna be considered in your traffic flow? Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I just have questions. I think I may be.
We need your name, I'm sorry.
Megan Salvin.
Okay.
I may be mistaken, but, I believe that whenever a child, asks to come out of county, that once they're admitted into elementary school, they don't have to reapply every year. They're there for the duration until they leave. I may be wrong, but that was my understanding. The question that I have is, why would it be so difficult to get future funding? Did Ms. Brown have, conditions on that, say this is why? Is it because our numbers at the elementary schools are actually trending down? Because I know that enrollment is down. I've spoken to teachers that are concerned that they might not have jobs next year because the numbers are down. I did reach out to the county office. It was early this morning, so I didn't expect a response, to get the numbers from 2020 to present to see what the trend is. I understand that in spring, or they said fall of 2022, we were overcrowded. We had a huge boom. We all know about the blue state migration and everybody moving up from down south. We're stagnant. Real estate is low. People are not moving into our county anymore. We have school choice because Governor DeSantis gave us school choice where we can put our kids wherever we would like. Most jobs for people that live in this county that are substantive enough for them to afford to live are not in this county. They're most likely taking their children, I know the enrollment is down, they're taking their children closer to where they work. We have the McKay Scholarship to where they can go to that goes to charter schools or anywhere else. They're wanting smaller classrooms. I get it because our schools are overcrowded at one point, but they're going towards homeschool, they're going towards charter schools, they're going towards Christian schools, and they're going to schools that are out of this county and closer to where they work. So I would ask the school board, why is it gonna be so hard to get that funding? And can you not apply for funding elsewhere? Also, currently, we're not even able to take care of our elementary schools as it is. We have a gym at Trenton Elementary School that has no running water and no bathrooms for our elementary school students. They have to go, I think, to the front office to pee, or maybe it's a different classroom. So I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned that there's not enough money in our school district to fund what we currently have going on. And I don't think that our school district knows what their money is. They've had a few different financial officers in the past few years and have made statements about budget items that apparently are no longer there. So that's my concern.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I'll try to answer some of it.
What's your name?
Michelle Walker Crawford. So I was the chair, I guess, when all this started, currently retired, thank the Lord. Megan, you can ask them and I'll try and tell you, but, first, so special facilities money, when Miss Brown, that, department that she is in, um, we would not be, we are competing with the small and rural districts in the state, which of the 67 counties, I believe 37 of them qualify as small and rural. So every year you apply for, grant monies or those facility monies if you are in need of a bill. You can only apply for those monies every 5-year cycle, I believe, 3 years. But if we are getting money this year, we cannot apply for it in the next cycle because those 37 counties, it has to roll. So what she told us was, you have taken somebody's spot for $40 million. If you refuse that money after you've been awarded that money, that's going to look bad on you. The next time you try to come get in the top 3, it's probably not going to happen. And as far as going other places and looking for money for schools, that's not a possibility. That doesn't happen. The only way small and rural school districts get a bill is by their application and ranking and awarding of the money. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. What was the next one?
You gotta have your name again, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But you gotta state it each time.
Yeah,
On the gym,
David, tell us who's speaking.
David Spencer.
Thank you.
Okay, so she alluded to the gym issue, and the way the state typically, when you do the special facility at Bell High School years ago, they come in and do what they call a custody study, and they look at the old gym, and they say, well, it's more cost effective to build a new gym and tear it down. Same with when we did it at Trenton High School. The custody said, take the gym, tear it down, we'll build you a new one. Well, they did that, but then the community at large says, no, we don't want to do that. We don't want to tear it down. So we give them back that portion of money for that $100,000 for the demo of that old gym. And then the community gets behind it and we move it to the elementary school and apply for a historical grant. But that, to do anything to put bathrooms in that old gym, what we did, we made it satisfactory. We put sprinkler system in it, we put exit lights, but we can't go in there and build bathrooms because they have an indoor, out of the weather, inclement weather place to go do their PE. So so you can't really say the school board's not maintaining the facilities. We don't get funding for that. That comes out of your historical grant or your teacher pay money, so that's the reason you see, and that's happened with both gyms, the old wooden gym and the 2 old buildings. They give you money to tear it down, but I don't think that's what the community wants.
That's what they did at Bell. They declared the old gym, they allocated $80,000 to tear it down.
Right.
But we appealed to them and said, we want to declare it a historical site, so we give them the $80,000 back and kept the gym because we use it for a practice gym and everything else.
And it's a struggle for the district to, where do you come up with the money out of your general fund that you're paying salaries and operational electrical and all that to maintain it. And that's the catch 22.
So,
You're gonna have to come to the mic.
the elementary school, since that's what's the subject right now, but it goes further than the elementary school. We have a track at the high school, at Trenton High School, that has not been touched for 30 years. At one point, my daughters went through the process of getting that on the agenda, getting, asking the school board for money, going through the budget process, advertising for bid, being told we had $200,000 for the budget, going through a different finance officers during that time, and then being told that there's no money, that they don't have the finances to upkeep that. So if we can't take care of what we have, and I can understand the tear it down and build something new, but if we have a fire in our house right now, why are we gonna build a new house? If we can't maintain our elementary schools, or kind of just build on, I know I think it's building 2 at Trenton Elementary School, has a lot of, damage. I don't know, maybe if that's an insurance thing that they're waiting on money for that, but there's damage in the ceiling of, the roofing materials, so that's not gonna fix. The floors in the old gym, I understand the monies are grant monies, it's different monies, but they're cracking in that gym. So all that, and.
Megan, would you state your name for the record? That's
Megan
being tape recorded, and they'll have to get it on.
Yep, Megan. So all that's different pot money, and y'all understand. So this, what we're asking for is, obviously today, to go from A2 to public. And the school is paid for. I do understand, that wherever we pick, and believe me, I know, I live across the street, y'all know that, from facilities, so, it's a getting used to kind of thing, but we're growing. And y'all know I'm number 1 on the don't like it plan. But, we've got to put them somewhere. And the BOE did tell us, we didn't seek this out. I think that's the main thing I want to get up here and tell you was, we didn't seek this out. The DOE actually came to our meeting and said, hey, y'all are about to be in a bad spot. We had zero idea that we were that close to running out of space, and they came and said, you really need to consider this. Here are the trends. You are in the top 10 of growing counties, or whatever it was, in the state. And within so many years, here's our projection for number of students you're going to have. And we were like, where'd you get this information, and how accurate are you? And she was like, we're 99% accurate that these numbers are going to happen within 10 years. You're either going to be ahead of the game, or you're going to be behind the game. And that's where we are.
Jill, if this site was not approved, what I understand is the board and the superintendent and the state have decided, because of our growth, somewhere out there is where the location is. Is that correct?
They basically
Okay.
picked that area. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, would you move it back to the west side, or?
No, and they gave us that recommendation. I believe, Fire gave us that recommendation because we were so close to the river on this side that, there wasn't, where it just wasn't conducive to having another site on this side of the flats, and realizing that all that recharge area we can do nothing with there, so we had to go past that, and once we did a population study, that's where the numbers were.
That also don't alleviate students having to be on the bus for an hour and a half. If you build it over there, that don't solve that problem
Right,
either.
that does not stop that, and with the new legislation that's coming, 26, where schools have to open, high schoolers, have to be, they can't start until 8:30. Elementary schools have to start early. It's all gonna change. We've got to have new bus routes and all that stuff.
Okay, thank you. I had one more person over here.
Wayne Savage. This might be the school.
You talked to us. We'll call him up if we need him.
I got some questions. What would, how many out-of-county people do we got going to our school, elementary people?
I don't think she had the number with her.
Well, I would like to see that. I mean, when do you say the school is full? Well, I know we have to take in county people, kids in our school, but when we taking all these outsiders that's coming in here, filling up the schoolhouse, when is it gonna stop? I know when they build this out here on 47, they gonna fill it up with Columbia, Lotchaway, they just gonna pull over, well, we get money for each student that comes in there. Yeah, you are. And we got to deal with all the traffic, we gonna have a taxes that's gonna go up, we gonna have to pay for security on that schoolhouse. And I know something about traffic on 47. I live on 47, I live about a half a mile where they propose a schoolhouse. And them big trucks roll all the time, and I have to turn in out of my driveway right there, and I've actually got off the road several times. I'd have my blinker on to turn in my driveway, them semis come over them hills, I would just go ahead and get off from that side of the road, but I couldn't turn in for traffic tickets. And, you know, Tommy, you live out there, there's a lot of traffic on 47, they talk about putting turn lanes in, they done all that on, up there at the Crossroads store, they put turn lanes in, they got a caution light there. How many deadly crashes we had there? Them trucks, when they come to Bell and Trenton, and we expect traffic in school zones in town. And when I know it's, traffic's gonna be in Bell, when the school's taking place, I plan for that. I don't even go. If I got to go, I know it's gonna be traffic there. That's Trenton too. But now we're gonna bring that urban right on out there in the country on 47. I mean, I pull out on, I could used to, when I was growing up, I could ride my bicycle from where I used to live down Slack to Post Springs, and I might see 2 cars. But now I can't even pull out my driveway. Sometimes I have to wait for 10 cars to pass at my driveway before I pull out. And 50% of them are semis. And they traveling too. You talk about all these foggy mornings, he's talking about putting caution lights up, turn lanes. It don't stop them down at that Crossroads store. They pile up all the time down there. So, when is this, if we took in-county people, and when we got full, hey, we're full. We need to stop, or we gonna have schoolhouses all over Gilchrist County.
I understand they're not taking any out of counties now because their capacity. They're not taking any out of Coogan County students right now.
No elementary.
No elementary
What
because
you
they're
said.
full capacity. So they're not taking any more. Out of
Well,
county.
when they fill up their school, if they took the elementary, our people and young kids in Gilchrist County are not gonna fill up that new school. It's gonna take all the people out of these other counties, it's gonna come in. And this is gonna be more traffic and more traffic. That we got it in Trenton and Bell, it's gonna be in Trenton and Bell and out there on 42nd. So, I appreciate if y'all take that into consideration.
Thank you. Anybody else? Now's your time.
Craig Stalvin, I think most of you know me. I live, gonna be a neighbor to that school right there. It's gonna be right beside my place. And, I'd like to expound on what my brother said. Been out there all my life. My family's been out there 6 generations. And the reason I live in a rural area, so if I wanna live in the city, I'd pick up and move to Bell Trent. I live in a rural area for a reason. It looks like y'all just uprooting and, gonna possibly have a school and big suburban right there in the front door. Like you said, if we emptied out our schools of all these kids from other counties, we'd probably have plenty of room and wouldn't need to deal with another school. Is what I'm thinking and what I'm hearing here today. We've taken all this from other surrounding counties, so we're a little bitty county compared, in this state, probably one of the smallest. I think Union Beach is small. Why don't we empty out all these non-residents that ain't living in this county, and we'll have room for our kids. We won't have to be building a school out there in the middle of nowhere on 47, like you seen the fog this morning. We live on that road. I've lived on it all my life. And them melon trucks and melon season come through there, them semis, they've run me off the road I don't know how many times. What you think of a 15-mile-an-hour school zone on that 60-mile-an-hour truck route through there that serves Chiefland, all that area, all the melons travel through that road, what's gonna happen? Just like he said at them intersections, 232 and 340 wrecks all the time. Caution lights, turn lanes, they wreck all the time. Fatality. That's the state. Then y'all gonna put one out there that's kind of in a bottom, the hills coming over, curve there at my place. Then all of a sudden, there's a school zone with hundreds of cars lined up out. Okay? I'm dead against it. I don't think it's safe. What's the blast zone on that gas line right there if it just happened to erupt? I know how big it is. I watched them put it in. It stands this high on my waist. I don't know how many gallons it holds, but what's the blast zone on it if it just happened? Do they send us safety notifications every year on that blast zone, on that gas line, warning us about it? What could potentially happen? What is the blast zone on it? You got 1,000 kids there, or however many that school holds, and that line blows. What's gonna happen to that school? You ain't got to be on the easement when that thing blows up. Everything's gone. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you. Anybody else?
But I've worked for Central Electric for 42 years. I've drove 47 and 129. And you talk about traffic. And when I first started there in 1980, it was a pleasant drive to Gilchrist home. And it still, when I quit 3.5 years ago, it still was a pretty pleasant drive, but it was a whole lot of traffic on that road. When I driving home from Chiefland every day, I used to start counting cars I passed when I leave Chiefland to get to Trenton. Just when I hit 129 and start going, I count them from Chiefland red light to Trenton red light just to see. I've counted over 100 cars I would pass then before I got to the red light. And then I would count them when I turn out on 47, I would count them going home. I counted up to 95. From Trenton, 9 miles to my house. And that was 3.5 years ago. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of traffic out on that road. We expect, like I said before, we expect traffic when we go to town, and them semis do too, because they know they pulling in Trenton and Bell, they know they got to back it down. But when they out there running full loaded on 47, they ain't backing nothing down. Them foggy mornings there, it'd be foggy on 47. 47 is a shipping lane, it's straight shot, and they know it. And all that, you know how they have CDLs out. I got a lot of semis try to turn around on Neil Fisher Road, what I call Neil Fisher Road, and that semi will be hung up. They miss that turn on 232, they want to go to that dollar store. They don't know they can go up there to the caution light and go back in there to that dollar store and Walmart trucks, that distribution center. And they'll try to turn around on that curve, and they'll pull off on them grades and tear them. They'll open them semis up like a can of tuna on them trees. But you know what kind of people are driving them semis. So they're not real intelligent, I want to say, when they drive in a big rig like that. That's all I got.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else?
And I want to ask, just kind of related to safety, I've heard that several times, and I'd have the same concern. I don't know if somebody from the school can say, I heard the planner say earlier, all that will meet federal, state, all that kind of stuff, but I still get that they may or may not slow down. So how do you address that? And y'all already evaluated all that, or how?
My name is Greg Kelly. I'm architect with Clemens Rutherford Associate Architect. We have not had any of those conversations yet. We're just now trying to get this resolved. We will be meeting with DOT. We will be complying with everything they suggest. The big thing, putting the school zones in, slowing the speeds down, getting the flashing lights up, all of those things on the highway there.
And you've looked at the one on 121, you said y'all kind of modeled this after that?
Yes.
I know there's a lot of traffic on 121, and there's a lot of semi-traffic on 121, so, and I've been by that school since they built it. I haven't been by there during the school time, but I have been by it.
The big thing there is getting the cars off the street.
Right.
Getting them in the turn lanes and getting them onto the property, and that's what we actually are proposing more in the queuing lanes on this school than is on.
They don't wait on the highway to turn like they do here. They get off of 47, get into your parking area, and go from there.
Yes, sir.
Well, safety is an issue. Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, anybody else?
How about, Mr. Lang, can you talk about substantial competent evidence a little bit and how that works?
Yeah, as I pointed out in the preview for this, for the quasi judicial hearing, mere opinion does not constitute substantial competent evidence. Substantial competent evidence would be something that's brought before you that shows why that matter should be turned down, that's evidentiary in nature, okay? And as I say, mere opinion is not, but if someone brings before you something that does show that there is a substantial competent reason, and you can base your opinion on that as hard evidence, then you can justify your decision based on that. So,
How does that work into challenges and potential legal action, and can you briefly? I know
well,
we've had-
from my notes, I think we've only had, two folks that have offered substantial competent evidence tonight. That was your staff member, Brandon Stubbs, and also Mr. Clay Swager. The rest of the information you've heard is opinion oriented, okay? Now, if someone had I'll just use this by way of an example. If someone came forward, a member of the public, with a traffic study that showed the distances, the bearing of the location of this school on the location, the site, the traffic, that sort of thing, that showed that it was hazardous in that location, that would be, in my opinion, something that you could take as evidentiary foundation for your opinion one way or another. But it has to be based on something similar to that. And there's any number of different reasons that you could justify evidentiary wise. For instance, if I know where there was we talk about solar farms here, Kevin. The only solar farm I know of in the state of Florida got turned down was on an archaeological site where there was a burial area that was undiscovered at the time. And they brought that forward. That is what they call substantial competent evidence, okay? So it's kind of in the evidence that's presented and the decision-making process that occurs based on what's brought forward, but it has to be something that has some merit to it, some substance to it. That's the best way I can explain it.
Steve?
I'd like y'all, three of y'all were on this board when the Sable Trail was approved by FERC. I'd like, before you make your decision, to consider among yourselves, if Sable Trail wasn't in existence, but this school was, would that pipeline be located where it is now?
Okay. Anybody else?
For the record too, I think Mr. Glavin gave you a handout on behalf of Ms. Jean Wanzer at the beginning of this session. That should be accepted by the clerk as part of the record of this proceeding.
Mm-hmm.
We have entered that.
And just noting for the record, she was advocating a no vote on that zoning change.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and say my piece on it. I know there's several people that are against the school going in, and I understand. We are growing in Gilchrist County. If you come to my house within a mile as the crow flies, I got a prison, a power line, a utility dump place for trash, and a dairy. We're growing. That's just all there is to it. We're growing. This site seems to be a good site for a school. I understand the school has some issues. You really need to take that up with the school. We're not the school board. We can't handle all those questions that are asked about this and that of at the school. You need to get with the school board on that. But as much as I know they don't want this in their area, because it's gonna take away maybe a little bit of their rule of being away from things, as we grow as a county, we are going to have a school. And right now, this site looks like it might be the best site for that school if we're gonna follow all the things that we heard today about having it on the right side of the Waukesasa Flats, located to the center, having it on a road that people have access to. One of the great things I see is it's an elementary. So you're not gonna have Friday night football and basketball and baseball games and all those things that go on after school. Most elementaries I've went by, when you drive by at 4:30 in the afternoon, it's quiet. There's nothing going on. Go by Bell at 4 o'clock. You can drive through there with no problem. Same thing with Trenton Elementary. Once school's over, it's over. Watermelon trucks going down, that's in the summer. Schools are closed during the summer. So you're not gonna have the problem during the summer with trucks and buses and all that. So I understand there's a lot of people that don't want it, but we're not to decide whether a school should be there or not. We're to decide whether we should change the land classification. We can't decide the school. That has to be decided by the school board. So, that's where I stand with it. I think this is the spot. And I think hopefully they could work with the schools if there's any more concerns about, all the different things that were brought up. That's for the school board to work with, not us. So that's where I stand.
Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and state my piece too. I know Wayne, Greg, I know all y'all. We grew up there, we hunted there, we fished there, we done it all. The people of Gilchrist County, elected us to make decisions, but it's not a personal decision. Tommy may not want a school, but I'm not elected to represent Tommy Langford. I'm represent the citizens of Gilchrist County. So if I have 500 people that wants it and 2 that don't, I have to represent the people of Gilchrist County. It is a good site after looking at it, because of the location, talking with David, looking at some of the information that he's provided. Like Bill said, the county's growing. I've had 3 new properties, right in my neighborhood within throwing distance. Matter of fact, just sold 5 acres in front of my house and fixing to build another house. There's a couple there, a young couple moving there and probably have kids. So the county's growing. We got to deal with it. We've had a need for a school for a long time. I went to Tallahassee with them, and we got ranked number 3. But we got funded. We got $40 million. It's not going to raise our school taxes. The $40 million is already there. Why are we building an elementary? Because we got $40 million to do it with, that the state is giving us. It should be somewhat self-supportive in a sense that when you get a student, even if he's from out of county, he gets funded, that helps run the school. There are some unanswered questions, but talking with David and talking with everybody else and being involved in it, it's a must, it's a need, we gotta have it. Is there other places we could put it? If you go north, then you're getting further away from the people on the south having to bus them. If you go south, you're doing the same thing there. It is a pretty good location. I feel very confident that the DOT will address the safety issues because that's their number 1 priority, dealing with them through the years. The one up on 121 has a lot of sufficient turn lanes and stuff like that. And like David said, the design of the school is I know when you go on 26, school time, you have to pass the car side of the road. And it's the same in Bell. You can't add on to those schools because you're multiplying your problems. And this money can't be used for that anyway. You'd have to find some other money somewhere else. But it's a problem getting through town with these schools picking up kids. So many people pick up their kids nowadays. But if you get that traffic off and get them on the side over there, that won't be near as big an issue as what we have in Trenton and Bell right now. But, I have to make a decision. I'll base it, like the attorney said, I'll have to find reasons not to do it. And it'll have to be justifiable to avoid the lawsuit or anything like that. And that's what my decision would be based on, is the evidence we've heard tonight, the need and everything else, and everything that goes along with it. Daryl, you have anything?
Yeah. So, I think I've already stated that whether there's a school or not is not up to us, really. It's up to the school board and the superintendent and the state of Florida. And there's been an extensive process of evaluation on the need, and I get we may have slowed down a little bit in growth, but everybody can tell percentage-wise, we're one of the fastest growing counties in the state. And I don't see that slowing down, because we got a lot of good stuff that people want. And, schools are one of them, natural resources, agriculture, green space, good people. And, I don't see that slowing down. Real estate agents are selling just as hard as they can sell, and the ones I talk to are doing pretty well. And maybe it slowed down a little bit around the new year, but we gotta think longer term. And, yeah, I hear the substantial competent evidence part of it. The only thing that gives me hesitation on this is there's some good friends that are against it. And that gives me heartburn that, may have to do something that makes me uncomfortable with my good friends, because they live out there, and I get it. If something like that's coming next to me, I feel the same way. And, that's what's hard about some of these decisions is, you gotta weigh all sides of it. And, so at this point, really, this board is looking at the land use from A2 to public use, and whether it's school is needed, the school board and superintendent in the state of Florida, you all, we're depending on you. You are the leaders we elected, and, that's what makes it hard for me. But that's kind of what I'm thinking.
I want to commend the school board too. That's one reason that a lot of people come here, is we have the best schools in the state of Florida. And, people see that and they want to come here. We have A schools and they want to put their kids in our A schools. So that's one of the attractions that we have. I don't know if that's I consider it a plus, but some people might consider it a minus, but, we do have great schools and great teachers and great staff, and that's an attraction that calls people to come here and want to send their schools. Commissioner Sharon Lee, you have anything?
I filed a disclosure.
Well, that's right, you did. Mr. Thomas?
Do I think they could be a better place for the school? Yes, probably, but it don't matter where we put it, where the school puts it. Somebody don't be in opposition of it. And Gilchrist County lays out to where it don't matter where it is, it's in somebody's backyard or front yard. And if I live long enough to see 26 4-lane from Newberry to Trenton, that school ain't gonna be big enough to hold what comes. You already heard Mr. Norfleet talking about 100-something acre place with 20, 30 houses on it. But that's just the beginning. But I feel for the salvage. Been friends all their life and everything. But, and I told them I didn't really agree where it was going. Got a hill on both sides, down and the bottom. But that's just my opinion. Okay.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So this is resolution 2025-03. Is that what we're looking at? Or 0-20,
No, you're correct. Resolution 2025-03-03.
all right. I move that we accept resolution 2025-03.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Martin and a second by Commissioner Smith to, approve resolution number 2025-03. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, same sign.
With
Motion
just
passes.
one abstention.
Sir?
Ms.
One
Langford
abstention, Ms. Langford.
abstained for the record. Ms. Sharon Langford abstained.
Oh, that's right, okay. So we had it passed by 4-0, and we had one exemption from, Commissioner Sharon Langford.
You know, for the public, before they all get away, could you briefly explain to the board where the public can hear what steps they have to go through with the site plan and all that kind of stuff that follows?
Certainly. So, as I was mentioning before about the development of major impact, the process for that will be that they will have to submit an engineered site plan along with the development major impact permit. And they will have to address all the additional, it's kind of like a special use permit, but on a higher level. So they'll have to address all those concerns, and then once.
But they won't need a special use permit.
No, this is a process that takes the place of a special
Major
use permit.
impact.
So it's kind of like, you got site plans, that's a by right, you got special use permits that have more scrutiny, and you got development of major impacts, which even has more scrutiny than a special use permit.
But the board will have control over what they approve on that site plan. That's
Yeah.
what I was getting at.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
If you don't like something there, you can attach conditions.
right.
Right.
So,
correct.
And that was what
So-
Mr. Steve was implying.
Right, so
We
there's-
could request that.
It'll be advertised, newspaper, all that kind of stuff, the general, advertising requirements. It'll go before this board, and the board will, under that process, will be able to put on what's called reasonable conditions, that as long as there's a rational nexus between what you're asking for and, you know, what the condition is, then you can certainly put those conditions upon, the site plan. So, again, that could be, you know, if there's warrant for it within a traffic study and a DOT may, I'm not gonna go through scenarios, there could be a million different scenarios, but, you know, either way, if there's some kind of nexus and this board looks at something and says, okay, they technically meet the requirements of the code, but maybe not so much the intent of the code, and we feel like that in order to provide additional safety or whatever, we wanted you to have this. You know, there's discretion at that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Don't we
No,
still
you
need to
have-
don't we still have to have the CPA,
Ordinance hearing, yes, sir.
well,
That's coming next, ordinance number 2025-02.
right, but,
Yeah.
doesn't the board need to actually approve, the amendment 2024-02?
Well, they did to the resolution.
Okay,
2025-03 was adopting the resolution adopting this amendment.
okay.
For the P and Z, it was to recommend to the Board of County Commission to adopt ordinance number.
The board was wearing two hats tonight. One is planning and zoning board first, second is as the county commission.
So by approving the resolution, it approves the amendment?
Correct.
Yes.
Well, I don't want to say that. It doesn't approve the amendment. It recommends
To the board?
to the board to
To
adopt
approve the
ordinance
amendment.
number 2025-02, which approves through the ordinance CPA 2024-02. If you look in the heading of, the ordinance, it says pursuant to application CPA 2024-02. So when they approve the resolution, there's a recommendation to the board to adopt ordinance 2025-02, which in turn adopts CPA or 2024-02.
We need to take about a 5-minute break. Can we do that?
That's fine.
Okay, we're gonna take a 5-minute break. back to our 4:45 time certain, which would be, comprehensive plan amendment ordinance 2025-02.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good evening, Commissioners. This is the second portion. So this portion, you're acting as the actual Board of County Commissioners, not the actual Planning and Zoning Board. So this is the second part of the CPA 2024-02. And I'll this time read ordinance number 2025-02 by title only. Ordinance number 2025-02, an ordinance of the Gilchrist County, Florida, amending ordinance number 91-10 of the Gilchrist County Comprehensive Plan as amended related to an amendment to the future land use map series of the Gilchrist County Comprehensive Plan pursuant to application CPA 2024-02 by the property owner under the amendment procedures established in sections 163.3161 through 163.3248 Florida statutes as amended, provided for the amendment of the future land use map series of the comprehensive plan from agricultural to A2 to public of certain lands within the unincorporated limits of Gilchrist County, Florida, providing for severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict, and providing for an effective date. This is the final reading for ordinance 2025-02. And at this time, I would like to enter in my presentation, my staff report, and all my testimony from the previous hearing, related to CPA 2024-02 and resolution 2025-03. I'm here to answer any questions, but I'd also like to, again, any of my testimony, questions that I answer, anything else, I'd like to enter those into the record for this ordinance.
Just for record, I'll be filing a conflict of interest, form. I've turned it in already because I'm employed by the Gilchrist County School District.
I move to, approve ordinance 2025-02.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Martin and a second by Commissioner Thomas to approve ordinance number 2025-02.
And, we need to open it back up for public
Yeah,
hearing on the motion.
public comment, Chairman.
Okay.
Is there any public comment? Seeing none, any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passed. Yeah, we'll add that to the record. Ms. Langford sustained from the vote, so it passed by 4-0.
I'll go into the next item that I have for y'all, which is CPA 2024-03. And at this time, again, y'all will be acting as the Planning and Zoning Board, so I'll read resolution number PZLPA 2025-04.
You think I need to swear you again?
That's up to you. If you think it carries over, or if I need to be sworn in again, I don't mind, so.
Let me just swear you to be on the safe side.
Yes, sir.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I certainly do.
Okay.
All right,
Duly sworn.
Resolution, PZLPA 2025-04, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Gilchrist County, Florida, serving as the Planning and Zoning Board of Gilchrist County, Florida, and the local planning agency of Gilchrist County, Florida, recommending to the Board of County Commissioners of Gilchrist County, Florida, approval of an amendment to the future land use map series of the comprehensive plan pursuant to an application by the property owner under the amendment procedures established in sections 163.3161 through 163.3248 Florida statutes as amended, provided for amending the land use classification from industrial I to agricultural 1 or A1 within the unincorporated limits of Gilchrist County, Florida, repealing all resolutions in conflict and providing for an effective date. This time I'll go through my staff report. This application is an application by Chad and Chris Buckholt, who are the owner of the subject property. The property The applicant, is requesting to change a portion of tax parcel number 22-10-0000-0004-0010, from industrial to agricultural land use. If you don't mind, I know it's a little ahead, but page 6, kind of wanted to give you a little idea of, because it's a very unique piece. If you look, I don't have a pointer, but if you look at the property, the subject property, you can see there's a portion there that's industrial, and then there's actually a part of that parcel that is zoned A1 already. So, the property, altogether, is roughly 14.48 acres. 6.126 acres is industrial. So what they're trying to do is just make it all cohesive. So his plan, he has no intentions of doing the agricultural development. This is all gonna be his homestead. So,
Brandon, if I can interrupt just for 1 minute, sorry, just to kind of give the commissioners a location where this is and they'll understand it. This is 319, but a lot of people know this area right here. That's the boat manufacturer, the helicopter store, and then Wilson's Gas is right there, so you kind of know where you're at. This piece of property, if you're on 319, there's part here, it comes right here, and this part here is the industrial part, and he is turning this into his parcel for his home site. So this is Santa Fe Avenue right here, but that'll kind of, you probably understand better where it is now. A lot of people know this is the old Wilson peanut mill.
And straight up north is State Road
it's the
26.
backwards arrow.
26 says up here, this is the water bottling plant right there. And actually that right there is probably Wilson's Gas. I was in the wrong spot, I think. Is that Wilson's? Yeah.
Yeah, and I was about to get, that, but, so to give you an idea, he kind of gave you an idea of the surrounding uses, but north, of the, property is, you have the Composite FX site, Southeast 10th Avenue, and Action Manufacturing Supply. To the east, you have, you got Santa Fe Drive, you got some single-family residences, and most of it, vacant agriculture. And there is, again, like the, Trenton industrial area, that view, somewhere you have the industrial areas there. So the, again, the proposed land use is agricultural, 1, existing is industrial. So when it comes to uses, impacts, as you imagine, there's a lot less impact to industrial property, or excuse me, agricultural property than industrial. So, there's gonna be no risk of, any kind of industrial uses, or the commercial kind of, traffic or anything like that that's associated with that. So when, analyzing the, two, it's actually, I feel like this property is, by changing it back, is a little bit more conformity, than it does as an industrial. Not saying it couldn't have been utilized for industrial, but, in that particular going a little bit further south there, it kind of just lanes off and is more in, the A1 versus the industrial area.
Brandon, can I stop you just a minute?
Yeah, you about to point out the same thing I'm about to point out.
You don't want me to point it out?
No.
We want to fix it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
I
Look
don't know how this happened, or.
Look at page 4,
Yeah,
where it says north, the very first block there, north, that's actually, industrial, just north, single family, the first column, existing use. That's where the boat place is, that Bobby just pointed out.
which one, yeah?
Page 4 in the chart.
Yes, sir.
The existing use, if that warehouse is still there, is a helicopter place.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So it's not single-family residential in that first block.
I was going back to my consistency, on page 5, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm fixing to get there, but I'm on
How
page 4.
that happened, but.
It's all right, we want to make sure we get
Yeah.
this corrected in the record.
I
And
don't
then when you
understand.
go down to where it says south, I think you just said the existing use, actually a zone industrial, and that's
Correct,
correct.
correct. So this is listed as zone industrial, the current use is
vacant.
taken as agricultural, so.
All right, well, look right below that where it says east, State Road 47. In the,
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry,
in the chart.
yep,
Can't be State Road 47 because that's where we just left up there.
yeah, I know.
East is the actual applicant's parcel, isn't it?
Yeah.
Correct, yes,
Right.
Yeah,
I think you just need to strike that State Road 47 there,
yes,
and you're putting it into the A1 category, so that's
correct. Yeah,
and the rest of
land
that's
use is-
fine. And then again, I'm guilty of this too, this cut and paste business on page 5, where it says that table 2, you
Yeah, I know, that's what I was getting to.
see what I'm talking about?
Should be industrial, ag one, yeah.
Yeah, that existing flume designation and proposed, those A5s are not correct, so, anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I thought that when you get back.
Because I don't know how I did that whenever I go into the future land use map, designation comparison, and I don't know, because it's correct. On page 7.
That's right. Exactly.
Uh,
So that's all I had, I just want to point that out for you
I'm
guys.
gonna blame that on my computer crash. But, yes, sir,
Normally I do those things.
but if you go back to, the existing versus proposed, land use comparison, the A1, part of the property is A1, part of it's industrial. The industrial has a floor area ratio of 0.25, which, to go in that definition again, it means that basically 0.25 of the total square footage of the lot can be utilized for building, floor area. Whereas agricultural has a density standard, which is 1 dwelling unit per 2 acres. The subject property is a little over I think 14.88 acres. Applicant has no, desire or indication to do any kind of subdividing or whatever, and then this is gonna be his homestead, plans on putting a home there with a shop. To go through the environmental impacts, according to National Wetlands Inventory, there are no wetlands located on the subject property. And then getting into soils, soils found on location, Bonnu, Blanton, pine sands. And, these are, well draining sands, so again, not really concerned with, wetland type or holding water. So actually pretty good for septic tanks and, things like that. The project property is not located in a FEMA designated flood, hazard area. It's located in a flood zone X, which is outside the annual 0.25, annual 0.2% chance of flood. Subject property is not within a stream of sink. Minerals that are located on site would be limestone, which is pretty typical in North Florida. There's no historical resources, indicated on that site or indicated within the comprehensive plan or the master site file. The property is located in a hospital recharge, but, obviously, industrial use is more intense than agricultural, so this is less intense use, so, it would definitely benefit. There's no known vegetative community, and given that the subject property is going from a higher intensity to a lower, intense use, from industrial to agriculture, they actually has a net decrease in potential impact to transportation, power, water, sanitary, sewer, and the like, so there's really no, impact analysis because it's, you're seeing as a what we call net decrease in, impact according to the land use. That's my presentation, and, if any questions, I'll be answered.
Is the helicopter and boat plant still gonna function? It's just the land behind it is being changed?
It's a land to the, south and east.
Right, but the helicopter in both places is still gonna stay.
Oh, yes, sir, yes, sir. It doesn't affect them at all.
Brandon, if you're changing it to A1, that's one dwelling per 2 acres. Could he put more than one dwelling on there if he chose to?
Only if through the subdivision process.
Okay.
So,
But you're doing that to be consistent with the rest of it,
right, the surrounding land use is A1, so,
plus the other 8 acres is A1.
And he's wanting to build a house and he can't build it in the industrial category.
Right.
yeah.
Right.
The home itself is gonna be actually, part of him, he wants to put in the back end of the existing industrial area. So there's, the industrial area is wooded. And so he wants to build his shop like in the woods and in those trees. And, so that's kind of where he's at is
And the other 8 acres is already A1, right?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So this 6 acres,
But he don't want to build his house on that.
now he's building a house on that, it's all one tract, it's just split by the zoning right there.
Right.
So, it's kind of like, comes over and it goes up, like goes towards the back end of that, area that's cleared, if you wanna put that, aerial photography, photo there, yeah. Yeah, that'd be fine. If you can get on it.
There you go.
So if you look, the part of the property that's already A1, to the right of it, just in front of that tree line, he wants to put his house, go to the east of it.
To the right, no, to the right, brother.
Yeah, right in that area, just to the north of that, he wants to put his house in that open area, just north of those, that tree line that's not talking about. And then,
Okay. And is ingress and egress will be off of the 319?
he may eventually get access, come in the back way to the shop, but, his address will be off of 319.
Okay.
Motion approved, resolution 2025-04.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Thomas and a second by Commissioner Sharon Langford to approve Resolution 2025-04. Any discussion? Any public comment? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. You didn't exempt from that, Sharon? Oh, this is a different one. You did school board, that's
No conflict on this.
okay.
This is a whole different.
I got on the wrong track.
That's right, that's okay. One bite.
And, the next item is related, so this would be the ordinance that goes into adopting CPA 2024-03. And at this time, I'll read ordinance number 2025-03 by title only. Ordinance number 2025-03, an ordinance of Gilchrist County, Florida, amending ordinance number 91-10, the Gilchrist County Comprehensive Plan as amended relating to an amendment to the future land use map series of Gilchrist County Comprehensive Plan pursuant to, application CPA 2024-03 by the property owner under the amendment procedures established in sections 163.3161 through 163.3248 Florida statutes as amended, providing for the amendment of the future land use map plan series of the comprehensive plan from industrial to agricultural one of certain lands within the unincorporated limits of Gilchrist County, Florida, providing for severability, providing, repealing all ordinances in conflict, and providing for an effective date. And at this time, I'd like to, again, enter my presentation, staff report, and all the documentation into this presentation.
Motion to approve ordinance number 2025-03.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Smith and a second by Commissioner Martin to approve ordinance number 2025-03.
Public input.
Any public input? Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Thank you, Commissioner, members of the board.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that's all our time certain, so we'll go back to you, Bobby.
Yes, sir. I am on item number 7, general. A while back, a decision was made to, name the arena after Mr. J.M. Murph Everett. We haven't created a sign yet, so we did, have some examples that we sent out. As you can see here, the third one, the bottom one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, one more. This is one that was suggested to us by Ms. Sharon, actually, and,
I like the
I
third
like
one.
it because I like the way it enhances the emblem. I think it was a great idea, so, and that's why we sent those out. We're kind of like, hey, give us some feedback. And I like that one, so if, I don't know if we really got a vote on it, but if the board consensus is they like the third, that
That
last
was my-
sign,
that
then
was my
we'll
pick.
look at getting one made.
And we may wanna, instead of,
I like the third one.
instead of getting it, made, like, do like a trial thing, just to see if that wood's gonna be okay on the back.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we can get a,
They can do,
what do you call it?
cause they, like, when I had my signs when I was running, they made me,
Approved, we can get approved,
you're right,
yes.
they just made it on vinyl or whatever.
Yeah. We'll get one and then let you
Just to
see
make
it.
sure that's not gonna be too much in the, that woodness in the background.
Okay,
Isn't there supposed to be a space between the J period and the M? J period, space, M.
Okay, J period, space, M period, okay? Then anything else?
Oh, it looks good. I like that sign. That's a good choice.
Yeah, all the others do have space there.
I was just in there paying, Edgar's insurance, and I sat down and I said, can we just try this out? But
Yeah, it looks good.
We have future graphics, Bobby. Hey, Bobby, any future graphics, you need to call Commissioner Langford.
that's right.
She can help you.
We're just gonna send them to her in writing, let her send them back.
I like it. Yeah.
I'm glad she came by. Okay, the next one is the, AIA contract, and it is with, Hoffman Construction. We went out for bid on hardening of the sheriff's office. What it would be, it'd be a new roof, and then all this will be fit to, a wind retrough fitting, hardening with a new generator. This is funded by an HMPG grant. The total cost for this, for the construction side, is $352,608. This also, changes out the glass in the, front part, lobby part, and makes it storm resistant, plus all other windows will be made and doors will be storm resistant, and this will be to Code Plus, which is what's required with an HMPG grant. This funds come from funding left over from hurricanes or certain percentages that are required. The total project cost, just so everyone knows, once with the management, design and all, is going to be $424,523. There is a match for this grant. It's $100,987. So out of the roughly 25,000, the county will have to put up 101,000. We have budgeted for this. This is in the budget. We've been working on this grant now probably 4 or 5 years, trying to bring it to fruition. So we have made a request. There is a possibility that the match will be waived. They asked us to make that request because they do have some additional funding left over. So what they're going to try to do is come back with that funding, and then and give us money towards our match, if not all of it, at least part of it. What they've got to do is get all the grants in, see how much money they got left, and then they will actually send us some money on that. So one thing in the contract that we left out that's not in the packet, we don't have the Florida, public records, the Florida Statute 119. That's a 2-page document. That's a document that we use, same document each time. We just change the name of the contractor, and that's going to be added to it as well. That's a document that Mr. Lang actually created for us to use. I'm not sure if has any more concerns over this or not, truthfully. So.
I do, but I was trying to get my bearings on what I was trying to say, I don't have a great deal, and Bobby's right, we need to add that public records language to the standard contract. I think if we go over to Article 11 in that main contract, Caitlin, it mentions insurance,
Mhm.
but I don't think it says in there what kind of insurance. I think you need to have it mention workers' comp coverage, as well as in the minimum statutory Florida limit, as well as general liability coverage. It might be buried in the general conditions, but I didn't see it.
I think it's in here somewhere, but I can't tell you exactly
Well,
where
anyway,
it's
we-
at, but
let's-
we'll be sure it's in
I'll
here,
shorten
yes.
this up, we want to make sure that we have workers' comp coverage
Mhm.
in at least the minimum state of Florida statutory limit and our 1 million general liability.
Yeah.
That's Article 11. And then over at Article 6.2, it talks about binding dispute resolution, and they've checked a block, put an X in it, and it says, see attached agreement between Gilchrist County BOCC and Hoffman Construction. I don't see that attached. I don't know what that is, and
Okay.
you might know. See where, yeah, see right under that block is checked with the X. See that language says, see attached agreement between Gilchrist County Board of County Commissioners and Hoffman Construction.
Okay.
I don't know what that is.
I think I've seen it. We probably just left it out, but I'll be sure you see it.
Okay.
So before we execute this contract, what we probably should do, what I would like to do with if the board approves it to move forward before we execute it tonight, let me add the records, let me add that language. We'll get that document and whatever else you need.
Yep, and there's only one more thing. It's Article 9.1 under enumeration of contract documents. It's at .8, Caitlin. I think it goes, yeah, is there a point? Go. Yeah, I'm looking at Article 9.1. And then there should be on the next page, it should start with .8. See that .8 up top?
Yeah.
Which is weird. The brackets have an X on that. .8. And they're talking about a sustainability plan. Again, that's not attached to the agreement. I don't know what that is. I don't know if y'all know what that is. So we ought to at least make sure
Okay.
before we sign anything that we get the Article 11 thing I mentioned, the 6.2, and the Article 9.1.
That may be.
And with that,
It
and
may be
the
in the
addition of
conditions.
the public records, the
Mhm.
contract is fine.
Okay.
I move that we accept the Hoffman, construction contract with all the changes that, Mr. Lane, mentioned. Once they're changed and it's satisfactory to him, then we can go ahead and move it forward.
Thank you.
Okay. I have a motion by Commissioner Martin and a second by Commissioner Thomas
Mr. Chair,
that we approve the,
I just had a question. So, just wanted to make sure to confirm, what the board is approving is the base with alternates 1 and 2.
Yes.
okay, the motion to approve the contract with Hoffman Construction with all the stipulations, and the documents have to be attached and approved by the county attorney. Okay, any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passed.
That completes my report.
And I think Bobby removed the proclamation.
Yes. We'll do it later.
Duke, you have anything else?
Yeah, I had one little amendment,
Fines code or something?
I had an agenda change for an issue that came up. The Todd's department, the clerk's department is having an issue. It began, I think, with the fines that we charge for littering, as opposed to what the state statute requires for littering, and the way that the money is carved out of the fines. I think our fines are actually too much compared to what the state has done, and by that, I just want to bring this to the board, because right now, we've got civil penalties for those code violations. First citation, 50, second citation 100, third citation 200, fourth and additional citations 400. And these citations have been given for like, around the dumpsters and places that there's landfill, that people throw trash out and it gets thrown everywhere. Well, what happened was, when you look at the state statute, they actually carve off portions of a littering ordinance, which is different, like littering less than 15 pounds, the clerk fine is $100, solid waste management trust fund gets $50, additional court cost clearing gets $3, local law enforcement gets, $2. So you got a fine for littering of $155, which don't match any of our fines. So that was number one. And then number two, code enforcement can be handled with these fines as long as it's not contrary to the state statute. And so I was just trying to get, what is the pleasure of the board and what these fines should be. Bobby and I met, and we were kicking around some numbers that were different, and then I met with Miss Tammy Hale and Julianne Parrish, and it's fouling their system up, so we gotta come up with something that's complimentary.
Maybe the state order adopt that.
Do what?
Maybe the state order adopt that.
You want me to call them and tell them? I'm gonna sign it, Commissioner Thomas. Said that they need to fix their schedule.
Whose rules are more stringent?
Well, I think maybe the recommendation, and I'm gonna ask Mr. Newton to help chime in on this, is maybe we need to just write our ordinance to fall in concordance with the Florida statute, because the statute's changed a couple of times over the last few years. If not, every time the statute changed, we're gonna have to be back in here. The statute's mainly changed with the fee, I think, is what's
Yes.
changed. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so if we can just follow the state statute for littering, then we'll be
And that's
okay.
easy done. I can put a block in there and I can put that the surcharges are subject to change. But then that takes us to the next category. What about animal control? What about some other kind of code enforcement?
Well, I don't think we have an issue with those, do we?
Not exactly. I mean, other than the fact of ones that come to our office. I mean, if it comes to our office, we handle it, we accept the citation. And, if they pay them, we pay it out to the board, basically. So that one is not the major concern. The other ones were the ones that were the issue, because we have a distribution schedule that basically lays out like how we have to distribute, a fine.
And it wasn't matching.
Correct.
I got a question. We just had some littering out there on the county line road 100, and we turned it over to FWC, and FWC called for it.
That's the best way to handle it. That's a state statute.
So
They fine
So
us.
FWC handles that instead of bringing it up.
100%. I've told y'all since I've been the county attorney, if you can get someone cited under the state statute, it puts the whole criminal side into the state attorney's hands, and it takes it out of your hands. You know what I'm saying? So if you can cite them under that, you're much better off.
Where we run into a problem, FWC has been very good about helping, especially with large trash dumps. I mean, there was one, I think the county got back $800 and something because we had to charge fees for cleaning it up, and we were able to get it back. But a lot of times it'll just be trash around one of our dump sites or something, and will they come help us? Yes, but that's kind of small for them. So what we try not to do is call them. They were good about coming, so we try to make sure it's the large stuff where we weigh it, they get the big ticket and everything.
Is the thing that the gentleman complained about in Wilcox, is it a big thing or is it a small thing?
That whole area is a big thing back
Well, I
there.
know, but the whole area, I mean, I've driven around back there and it's like, I'm gonna go back and look, but I think the piece of property that he's actually talking about right now has fines occurring on it on a daily basis. The problem is some of that property's got squatters on it. It's just, it's hard to do anything. And some of the people that we're finding are like, y'all just, when it gets to that point, take it.
The only way to get people's attention, though, is to get in their pocketbook. And if you get the fine too low, and I know it's Florida statute, but if you get the fine too low, it's just no big deal, I mean, what's $20?
Florida's got a pretty good,
world?
strong litter law. They do.
The more you can fine them,
people, they don't have the money to pay any fines, so they just keep right on doing it until you run them off of it.
And then the other code, the other code fines, regular code fine, you can charge, where any code enforcement hearing. Well, there's two issues. A civil infraction, if the person contests the citation, the maximum civil penalty not to exceed $500, because that's up to the judge. On regular ones that aren't littering, see what I'm saying? And then on the ones that go to the special magistrate, this is what Tammy and I were talking about, and I don't know if she had a chance to mention it to you, Todd.
She did, we were discussing it, and, honestly,
With a
she was-
special
she was,
magistrate.
yeah, she was supposed to bring me back some information, before the meeting, but we weren't certain you were gonna bring it up at this meeting, honestly. We thought possibly it was gonna be at the next meeting, so.
Well, I stuck a little clause in here. I got all this penciled in off the old ordinance that y'all had. I mean, we had an ordinance for these fines, but it's old. And, I just penciled in there that, yeah, where any code enforcement hearing is properly noticed and held before a special magistrate, any fines imposed by the special magistrate for violations of the code of ordinances shall supersede and replace any fines prescribed by this ordinance. It's kind of a catch-all. What I'd be happy to do is draft up something, send a copy to Todd, bring one back up here for y'all, and let's look, and send one to Bobby, and let's look this over, because there's several changes that need to be made in it to make it compatible.
Okay, sounds good.
If I have your approval to do that.
Yep.
That'd be good.
Okay, and that's all I have.
Okay, Mr. Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First item is a budget recap. This is as of January 29th. So a little over a quarter of the year completed. We've got year-to-date expenditures in general of $9,265,000, with revenues of $10,586,000. In fire, year-to-date expenditures of $418,000 versus revenues of almost $893,000. Transportation, we continue to be a little bit ahead of the year as far as that, but primarily, again, due to like lease payments that have been made. But our current year-to-date expenditures at $985,000 versus revenues of $1,423,000. In EMS, we've had year-to-date expenditures of $648,000 versus revenues of $1,365,000. And in solid waste, year-to-date expenditures $327,000 versus revenues of $732,000. All in all, everything is basically where we would expect this time of the year as far as revenues and expenditures. No questions in regards to that. We'd move on to a discussion regarding setting up some workshops. Would like to recommend a couple proposed workshops. One would be to discuss fire and EMS future budgets, as well as what the needs are going to be potentially for next year, as well as looking at it. There is a potential that we could look at to consider a sales tax that would change the way that we fund fire and EMS. So rather than 100% of funding for fire and EMS being from ad valorem and special assessment, you would have a portion of that being funded through a sales tax. And again, there's a lot more to it than just that. There's a lot to consider. So that's why we need to have a workshop.
So could your, special assessment, it could possibly go down then?
It actually, and that's why we need a workshop.
Okay.
Because in doing so, in creating the sales tax, you're required, whatever that sales tax generates, you have to reduce your sales tax, or not your sales tax, you have to reduce your ad valorem, or however you're funding your fire and EMS, you have to reduce that dollar for dollar by the amount that the sales tax generates. So it helps to reduce the burden on the taxpayer.
Yeah.
And also helps to allow other people that are coming in from outside, tourists, whatever, that are paying sales tax in Gilchrist County, it would help them fund our fire and EMS.
Everybody pays that.
Right, which is also, when you consider things like Jenny Springs, you know, and some of the burden that they put on fire and EMS, they would be helping to fund, you know, through that sales tax. So anyway, it's just an alternative, you know, to kind of change the way we do things a little bit. That, again, it would potentially, you know, help reduce the burden on our property owners, on our taxpayers. So anyway, I'd like to propose a workshop to discuss that. And then a separate workshop, because I think that workshop in itself could potentially be kind of lengthy. I'd like to propose a workshop to discuss, you know, our solid waste situation and, you know, kind of the future of solid waste in Gilchrist County. And they're not really connected, but I think it would be good for us to look at the potential of an additional fuel gas tax. You know, again, kind of the same concept. I mean, it's a way that we could help reduce some of the burden of our local taxpayers. So there is an opportunity. You know, you guys are always asking me, you know, what else can we do? You know, these are two opportunities that are out there for us to change the way we're doing things. And again, I mean, it gives the opportunity to help take some of the burden off of our local folks a little bit.
I thought the only thing we had left was a 5-cent diesel tax. That's the only thing we could
It's
do.
actually 5-cent unleaded, but that's the only thing that is left. Levy County actually implemented that about 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah, and it is restricted money. That's why we need to have a discuss it and
Okay.
and understand more of what it means, and, you know, is it something that you want to consider? Again, both of these are not, you know, it's something you have to consider. One of them would require, you know, you to make a resolution to approve it, but then you have to put it to the people. So the people actually get to make the final
That'd be
decision.
2 years from now, it'd be on the ballot.
So, yeah, this is not something we're gonna do tomorrow.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
but it's something we have to get started talking about it if you want to do it,
Right.
because there's a process and it's a lengthy process.
And you could give us some numbers of potential revenue that it would
Correct.
generate and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And what we could use it for and not use it for.
Correct.
And currently, property owners for ad valorem, what percent of landowners are paying roughly? Is it 50% or?
I don't have that number off the top of my head, to be honest. I'd have
Okay.
to get that
But
number
it's
from,
less than 75% for sure.
yeah.
Even, well, yeah, the sales tax would spread it out and reduce the burden on our local taxpayer,
Correct.
potentially.
I don't know how that number changed, but about 2 years ago, it was at 54%.
Yeah.
It's on that chart from the government
The
service.
ad valorem's around 54% 2 years ago, because
But again, you know, in looking at that sales tax, not only would it potentially reduce your ad valorem, it would also reduce your fire special assessment,
Yeah.
which is everybody pays.
Everybody.
So, you know, it's a way that, you know, if we were to move this direction, it's a way that you could help every property owner. You know, anybody that pays a property tax would benefit from that.
I think the estimated, what was the estimated revenue for 1 cent, like 1.2 million?
And that's actually like almost 1.8.
1.8 went up quite a bit, for 1 cent sales tax.
When you want to have them, February, March, April?
We, in talking to Mr. Crosby, we'd like to look at probably maybe the second meeting in March, or maybe the first in April.
Okay.
Like, we need to get together and make sure that we have all of our information before we do the workshop. We don't want to just have it and not be able to give you all the information.
When y'all get ready, let us know.
Okay. But that's what we're targeting is end of March, early April. And being as it's probably going to be fairly lengthy, we had discussed possibly not doing it on the same day as a board meeting.
Right.
Just because it may turn into somewhat.
We can do that too.
Yeah. Pick
so-
another day, yeah.
So anyway, we'll bring some dates, maybe to the next meeting and make sure everybody is
Okay.
good with
Sounds
that.
good.
Yeah, because we're going to start our budget meetings a little earlier this year too.
Yes, we need to.
Yeah. And that's all I've got today.
Okay. We'll go to our commissioner reports. Commissioner Sharon Langston?
The only thing is, with the fireworks, Friday night, a lot of people asked, why didn't we have the fire department, why weren't they staged out there? Was it, is that something you have to, is that a requirement when you do fireworks, or?
I don't know if it's an actual requirement, but we just got our timing off a little bit. There was one on the way, it was 7 minutes out when that happened. It was already
So
on
we
the
have,
way
so
there.
that was already planned to have one?
Oh,
there?
yeah, our plan was to have one there. And Fannin was planning on being there also, and they were on their way, and they got a call. So Fannin had to go to a call. But, so that's what delayed them some, but that, we were 7 minutes from being there before it happened, so,
Okay.
yes. Mhm.
That's just what people asked me, so.
The good thing is they got there pretty, and they took care of it quickly.
Yeah, that could have been bad, so good thing it turned out the way it
If it had
did.
been blowing a different direction, that would have been bad, would have been
That
bad.
was,
Yeah.
but that's it.
Okay, Commissioner Smith?
Bobby and I attended a Water Management District, Water Resource Symposium, I guess it was last week. And, they had folks from different agencies, FEMA, Army Corps, DOT, Department of Environmental, Emergency Management. And they talked about grants, and, there's quite a bit of stuff available. And so I know Bobby was taking good notes, and we're counting on, following up on some of that stuff. And also continue to make good contacts with all those agencies. I got a text from Chris Doolin earlier saying that we'd heard that Commissioner Simpson was gonna put something on the solar, issue in his bill, the Department of Ag's bill, and he confirmed that it is in there, and they're asking for the counties to have, basically, it come back to the counties and boards for input. So, I think, and we'll see where it ends up, but at least that level is, there's those discussions. And what I hear is the ag industry and others statewide are beginning to voice their opinion on that. So, I did notice, related to the school earlier, on the solar, across from the proposed site, there is a Tiger Solar LLC, so it sounds like that property is, potentially gonna be a solar facility.
Across from the new elementary school on 47?
Yeah, I heard that, okay.
That's all I have.
Okay, Commissioner Martin?
Yeah, I want to say, everybody I talked to was really excited about the 100-year celebration, and I don't think it's completely in our wheelhouse, and I'm not trying to throw anybody on the bus, and I'm not complaining to anybody. Just because it's a Gilchrist County celebration, though, we are looked at as part of the people that should make sure things are run right, and the comments were food. They had to wait an hour and a half to get anything to eat, and then, of course, safety with fire and stuff. So I hope with the next events that go on that these things may be looked at a little bit closer, because that was the only concerns. I mean, people just had concerns about trying to get something to eat, wanting to be out there to support it, and then waiting for an hour and a half to get something to eat, and then the fire. So just things we need to make sure things are a little bit better lined up, ready to go for the next events that go on. That's all I have.
Mr. Thomas?
I ain't got nothing.
I just have a couple things. I did ride Gay Road. They are putting the culverts in, so they are fixing on that road. Spring Ridge, I rode it this morning. They haven't paved a lot in the last couple of weeks, but they have fixed a lot of driveways, so I'm sure they're getting ready to put some more asphalt down, but it looks good. It looks real good. They're doing a great job. The Dollar General was supposed to open this last weekend, but they had a delay. I don't know if Bobby knows anything about it or not, but
No,
said they had a septic tank issue, but they've got it resolved, and the opening is gonna be somewhere around the middle of this month, in a couple weeks, week or 10 days, something like that. They got everything ready. They got the sod down. They got the parking lot done. They got, got an ice box up top, put ice in, so I know they're real close to opening up, but Man, people ask me every day, when is that store gonna be open? So, the sooner the better. And the only other thing I have is, I'll be attending the North Florida Economic Development Partnership Board of Directors and meeting in Palatka, this Friday. It's always a good meeting and a lot of good information, a lot of people.
And when I was out at, Spring Ridge, I noticed they were putting concrete, driveways in the entrance into the concrete. They were pouring a bunch of concrete, and I didn't know that that was part of the deal of paving the roads, that they had to put all these
Well,
concrete aprons in.
What they have to do is people who already have concrete, they can't pave over that, so they cut it out, fill it in, and re-pour it to match the road. They can't pave over the existing concrete. So Todd explained to me in that meeting we had that what he has to do is he has to cut, if the existing concrete goes under the asphalt, he has to cut that out and make it match his driveway, and then he'll pave up to that concrete. And some of the ones they've already done, you can kind of see how.
I was out there, and they were pouring more concrete
I question
than
that.
they were pouring asphalt.
Yeah, I question that too, but that's what they're using.
All right.
Anybody have anything else?
I got one thing I just wanted to let you know. The gentleman who was doing the fireworks for us out there, very nice guy. He felt really bad about what happened. We all did, truthfully. But one thing he did is he had never even took his check out of the envelope. He turned around and handed his check back. He said
Really?
he did, yeah. But there was an alternate date on there, so if weather permitting, things work out a little bit better, he wants to kind of look at coming back maybe in a month or two. And we won't have everything else, but just have fireworks one night, and people who wanna come see the fireworks can come and park and watch the fireworks, bring their own snack, their own drink, and do that. So, but he actually gave the check back to us.
Maybe,
That was super
maybe
nice.
mow the field and do a fire break, like, when you turn off.
It's been burned off now, you don't have to worry about it.
We can
You
get,
can do it there again, Gary.
yeah, the Division of Forestry will plow a big area for it probably. Well, that might be something else we could do, but we learn.
It's been burned off.
We're gonna wait till we get some rain.
Yeah,
There you go.
Yeah.
and no wind.
Okay, public participation. Is there any public participation? This is your last opportunity for tonight.
Sure.
Okay, motion to adjourn.